How's it going, everybody? Jody in here, and I'm back with another episode in my Stormworks series. This episode, we're going to be dealing with trains. I know my last episode was supposed to be on trains, but we kind of got sidetracked there with a little bit of an undersea rescue, which was pretty fun. I actually enjoyed that quite a bit. One thing I want to point out, though, is look how smooth the simulation's running right now. Look how nice and smooth and fast the simulation's running. I'm gonna bring up my my thing here. Look at, we got idle. We have like 3 to 4, sometimes even popping into 5 on the idle. Look at our physics. Our physics is just so much idle. So much idle. Okay? I want you to take note of that, because as I was kind of bitching about last episode, it ain't gonna stay that way. Okay, so I want to. This is going to be more of a showcase than anything else. It's not necessarily going to be a video where I build. I'm probably going to tinker, but it's not. I'm not going to build anything from scratch. But we're going to mess with trains, and I want to show you a few things on the trains here. So we're going to load up, and this is what we were messing with last episode, actually. I'm going to load up a few things here. I'm going to start with this here. This was my first attempt at moving containers. I spoke about it last time, and I said I needed a container mover, and that container mover needed to be able to go with the train. So this was my first attempt at coming up with a container mover, and this has gone through a lot of iterations. So this is not the actual first attempt. This is the first vehicle that I built and then messed with and fiddled with until I finally got it to where it was somewhat okay. So I'll spawn it in, and you're gonna probably notice an issue right off the bat with this. Well, hold on. Oh, I forgot. There we go. And then, yeah. Okay. So, this guy here, you can see it's on a platform, and the platform raises up. And so it can be transported. Now I'm gonna move it out, because you see the problem you're gonna run into is I can't take this guy off of the trailer in here, because he won't fit out the damn door. Look at how wide he is. He won't fit out this door. So already problem number one is it's not going to fit everywhere. And this is going to take me just a minute, because when I'm not connected to anything, these are my patented connectors. I call them my patented connectors because I use them on every single train that I make. These are my patented knuckles. And the way that they work is the electric connector down at the bottom actually allows electricity to pass through the train. So your engine, while all these trailers have battery power, like there's batteries in here, in that box there. They do not have unlimited power. So you can see the power's dropping. And you can see the power's dropping very, very slowly, but it's still dropping. So over game playing, like playing, you're going to run eventually out of power. Considering the fact that this battery is also used to charge this when it's connected. Because, well, unless, you know what, maybe I may have put a glitch in here. I don't know if I did or not. I didn't originally, so ever since I created that glitch engine, I'm finding all kinds of uses for it. Yes, it's a little bit cheater, but hey, It's my game. Fuck off. When they fix the glitch, then I'll move on to doing it the right way. But right now they haven't fixed the glitch, so screw them. They have quite a bit to fix in this game. So if they're gonna make it so I can get unlimited power through not really cheating, just putting parts together. I'm not cheating at all. I'm putting parts together, and I created a controller that takes advantage of their screwed up physics engine. So that's not my fault. Not my fault their physics engine's broken. So yeah, basically how it works is you use a small motor, and you gear it up. You gear up the small motor, and you have a clutch system. And that clutch system cycles. And what happens is, when the clutch is off, the motor gets up to full speed. When the clutch is on, that power goes into the flywheel, and then the clutch goes off again. Motor gets up to full speed. Clutch hits. That throttle goes, or that momentum goes into the flywheel. So what you're doing is you're getting a little tiny motor up to full revolutions as fast as that sucker will go through a gearbox, which multiplies it, and then you're pulsing a clutch. You're just pulsing the clutch. And by pulsing the clutch, you're putting more power in, more power in, more power in, more power in, more power in. And because the physics engine doesn't really know what to do with that, it just keeps adding that. It adds it, adds it, adds it, adds it, adds it. The motor itself slows right down, but it just keeps adding power, adding power, adding power, adding power. So what you end up having is a system that then goes, quite frankly, out of control. I mean, if I were to not control it, or not put a controller on it, that would basically stop it from accelerating out of control. It would accelerate out of control. It would accelerate to the point where the number got so high that the game would crash. The game would break. So I don't let it get that high. Let's undo the docking lock. So this is the vehicle right here that I started with. This was my container loader, or my container lifter. Now, like I said, I made a few modifications to this. At first, this was the size of it. There was nothing else to it. It was just this. I added. You can see on the controls there. I added an extendable wheelbase. I did that rather recently, so I can extend the wheelbase out, which gives me more weight on the back, because now I'm moving my pivot further away from the weight source, from the source of the weight. So back here, the container could possibly pull me over. If I move this out, which extends the weight out further from the container, it's not so easy. It basically creates a larger lever under the weight. So now I'm multiplying the weight of this load in the back by moving this out. And this weight on the back was actually much bigger in the first iteration. In fact, as you can see, the weight blocks, there's actually not that many weight blocks. There's less than 2 full layers of weight blocks there, and the thing's hollow. Inside that there is I can't show you inside because the camera doesn't go in that far. But inside that, it's pretty hollow. The generator's in there, as well as a few other things, batteries and so forth. So the weight blocks are just the weight blocks on the outside. I also added a flipper to it, because what would happen is this stupid thing would end up going forward up, like the front end would go up, into the air, and it would end up landing on its back and just sit there like a turtle. Like it would sit straight up. Now, I could never control when that was going to happen. It just happens. So I don't even know if I could make it happen. Like I would be going backwards like that and hit the brakes, and the thing would just flip onto its back. And because there's such a large surface on the back here, it would just stand up on its back. The tires wouldn't touch the ground because the tires are, you know, the same diameter. So I would have no way of getting it back upright. I'd have no way of getting it back upright. So I had to add this, so it would flip itself back up. I could flip it back up. This vehicle also has some issues with the rail system, like these guys. Like, see how this is? Watch what happens. Now I'm stuck because the back tires are kind of small. So I have to not only hit it hard, but I have to kind of, you know, I have to fight to get over these rails. So this vehicle was not the best, as you can tell. It was not the best vehicle, and I think I just jammed that tire underground. I'm pretty sure I just jammed that wheel underground. I don't know how I did that. Leave it to Stormworks. But I somehow jammed that tire into the ground. Oh! There we go. You see, I almost flipped it. I almost flipped it backwards. I almost flipped it backwards there. But yeah, this is the problem I was having with this vehicle. It's not a bad vehicle. It's a decent container lifter. Like, it'll lift the containers. But if you run into any problems like these bumps or these raised rails, you're kind of screwed. Plus, it's like, you can see how unruly it is. It's so very unruly. It's got so much power that it just wants to go. I shouldn't say so much power. It's got a crazy amount of like, it's only using the small motors, but they go from 0 to 100 like in a ridiculous amount of speed. So let's grab a container just to demo this. I'll grab a container and show you how this one works. I need the container magnets. I need to turn them on. You can see the light there. They were already on. Okay, park and brake light, and I have my up indicator that tells me I'm currently holding it up. So I need to get rid of that. So there. So there's a big problem. You can see that I have with this, is that the motors don't always work either. So you see, I have it set to lift it up, and you see what's happening. It's getting caught. It's getting caught on its own legs down there. So I'll release it, and it'll go down, and there we go. I got it past. But you see, it was getting caught on the magnet on the front. The container was getting caught on that magnet on the front. You see it barely lifts it off the ground. It doesn't lift it very high. And you can still see that I'm having some stability issues. The back end wants to hop up. If I hit the brakes, see how the front dips and the back kind of wants to come up? And now, can I get it over this? That's the other question. Can I get... Well, I can get over that. And I hit that hard enough that I was able to get over that. Okay. So, I mean, I did have some... I'm not going to say I didn't have some success with this machine. I did. It worked very well. But I came to the conclusion that I could do this better. And so that's what I tried. So that said, let's go to my next attempt. So this was my first vehicle, and it's gone through a lot of iterations, like I said. I at one point in time I had these folding outwards, folding forwards. But then I realized that I couldn't put it on the trailer with those folded forwards. I would run into things like those guys. I would run into those, so I couldn't do that. So I had to try something different. My second attempt at building a container transport was this guy, and this is just the container transport. I do have a somewhere. I have a trailer with it on it, or I have a train car with it on it somewhere here. Where are you? 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 I didn't delete it, did I? I don't think I deleted it. Where are you, my train loader? Maybe I did delete it. Maybe I deleted the train car. No, I wouldn't have done that. Why would I have done that? That would have been stupid. It has to have a train car. It's got to be here somewhere. So there's that. And I'm looking for that on a train car. Dear God, maybe I did delete it. Why the hell would I have deleted it? That makes no sense. Or I might have saved over it. I might have saved over it. Well, shit. Oh, no, there it is. I didn't save over it. There it is. Okay, so this was this option, which again, it needed a train car. I needed to bring it with me, so I had to have a train car. The train car has its battery pack in the bottom. You can see the battery pack there. What am I carrying? Why do I have an engine? So it has its battery pack in the back, in the bottom here, as all these train systems do. They all have their own power sources. So it's got a three battery pack in the bottom, and the battery, of course, again charges up the container mover, which has its own power supply. So you're on limited time. You're on when you're using these vehicles, you're on limited time because that battery power will run out. The one thing I never thought to do on this, though, I never thought to put, even just a couple solar panels, say here. That way you're not totally screwed if something happens. Let's get the right color. That way, if you run out of power, you're not totally screwed. I mean, you are, but at least there's a little bit of, there's a little bit of something there. Let's resave that. I don't use this one anymore, but every time I tinker with something, I feel I should save it. Like, if I make a tiny change to something that improves it, I should definitely save it. Where the hell was that? It was on this side, right? Somewhere here. Somewhere here. There it is. Replace, confirm. Okay, so this guy, which will spawn in. That's another thing. His car doesn't have solar either. Like the train itself doesn't have solar either, which that shows you how long ago this build was. Because my trains all had solar. Well, nowadays they have solar because I've been there. I've been there where the battery runs out and you're like, son of a bitch. And you don't have any power at all. It's not charging, and you're just screwed. You're just sitting out there screwed with these train cars. So once again, I'm gonna push this. And another thing I started to do was I started to put a toggle Because when these guys are connected, this knuckle has a whole bunch of uses. Like I said, the bottom here was for transferring electric through the vehicle. The one connector on the side here is connected up to the brake system. So when the train is actually connected, the brakes are released from the, like, these brakes are released, and then they're controlled through the connector. So that's another reason for the connector. And the other side is basically just for grabbing. When the electrical connector is connected, you get a green light up here to show that all systems are go. I don't care if these two don't connect fully. If one of these don't connect fully, then all that happens is the brakes don't release. So that gives me an indicator. But if this doesn't connect, then there's no power going to the trailer. So I have an indicator light to give me a green status on that. Plus, I know if this one's connected, these two will also be connected, because this one can be connected to that one, like on the other train. If there was another train here, this one could connect to that one on the other train, so you could have a crisscross. But this one, if this one connects, these two have to be connected. There's no way they can't be. So that's another reason why I put the green light. The green indicator light lights up when this one's connected. If that one's connected, then you know everything's good. Plus the triple knuckle. I find the triple knuckle design with three actual magnet connectors, quote unquote magnet connectors. They like this one. These are just connectors, and this one's an electric connector. But these guys will magnet together, and when they connect with a force that you're not going to be able to rip it apart. So for a train, if you don't want a solid connection that, like a mechanical connection that you have to physically, manually connect and disconnect. Well, I shouldn't say that, because there's a toggle over here to disconnect, but that's basically my knuckle open and close. But anyways, if you don't want to have to manually connect and disconnect something like some kind of mechanical system where two hooks lock together, or you have to attach ropes between them or something. If you don't want that kind of physical connection, this is actually a really, really good one. Plus, the pivot's really all you need. The side-to-side pivot, that's all you need. There's no up and down requirement for these trains. There's no the knuckles don't need to go up and down, because up and down is such a small change, like a couple of degrees of grade, that there's really no need for the up and down pivot. Whereas if I was making a trailer hitch for a vehicle, this would not work. I would have to be able to pivot in all four directions. Up, down, left, and right. Okay, so we're almost out. Like I said, the biggest pain in the ass is the brakes are on this thing, which is why it's taken so much more energy to get it out. Okay, so here's how this system works. And the reason why I don't use it anymore is because it itself is also glitchy. I can't just bring the car out. I have to actually drop the side, which is what this is for. So you can see the side goes down, side goes up. Now this does not always work though, especially if the physics is being wonky. Sometimes it'll stick, sometimes it'll get jammed, sometimes it'll get stuck halfway down, halfway up, whatever. But anyways, so for this you have to lower it down, and then you have to unload it so it swings out. Okay, bring your arm down. Okay, disconnect. Alright, bar up. And as you can see, the bar kind of has a mind of its own. It's going to start to rotate. So already there's going to be a problem getting it back on. We'll lift that back up. Okay. And then we will raise that back up. Alright, so there you go. So now our car is free. Our car is free from the vehicle, and we can drive around our car. Our container car. This was my second. This was actually my second. You can already see the problem I'm having here. Is it's got very, very low clearance. However, it does an amazing job moving the containers. This actually requires you to activate the bottom set. So let's put on the parking brake, and we will activate the bottom set of magnets. Turn off the top set. Actually, I could leave the top set on. It doesn't really matter. I'll just leave the top set on. Or will it? It might go haywire and try to attach those. We will not do that. Okay, so all my controls are here. So I have the bed magnets, I have the rear hydraulics, I have bed extend retract, I have headlights, winches, because there's a set of winches there too. Yeah, look at the battery bank I got going down the side. Just to make sure this thing doesn't run out of power anytime soon. But anyways, yeah, I have winches on here so I can winch if I need to. I've never had to winch yet, but just in case, I did add winches. So, the way that this works is you have to first lower your rear hydraulics. You can see how the bed went down. Or I don't know if you did. You see how the bed's raised? If I do this, the bed goes down. It's now on the ground. So then I back up to the container. Like so. Okay. Again. Add my parking brakes. Now, I want to extend the bed out. You see the rack going back. And I actually think, yeah, we're not moving. That thing is moving. I don't know why that thing's moving, but it's moving. Anyway, so that's out. We'll turn our bed magnets on. And we'll have to back up under it again because it wants to... I don't know why it's moving. I don't know why it's moving. Anyway. Okay, there. So if it wasn't moving, that just would have happened on its own. So now what we do is we turn off the extender, which will pull the container into the back. You see it just pulls it in. And then we flip our rear hydraulics. Leave our bed magnets on, but now we flip our rear hydraulics. And we are fully loaded with our container. We just take it wherever we want to go. Now the problem is, as you can see, all the traction is in the front wheels. And they just want to go. They want to go bat out of hell. I have no drive motors in the back. And the reason I have no drive motors in the back is because I needed the rear hydraulics. You can see the motors or the lifters there. You can see the two tracks that are attached to the wheels. And they are very short. You can see there's the top there. That's the top there. And then the bottom down here. So it only moves it down one block. That's all it has to move it down is one block. But because of that, all of my drive had to go on the front. So up at the front, I don't know if I can get a view of that. Up at the front, the drive motors are actually connected to the front steering wheels. And the steering wheels, as you can see, just go fucking straight left, right. Like there's no chill. They're just hardcore left, right. There's no chill at all. I got my battery power here. You can see I'm already at 95%. Even though I haven't really done anything, I'm already at 95% power. And again, I'm going to have issues, even with this, getting up this ramp. You're going to see there's going to be some issues getting up this ramp. Because I'm going to bottom out. And I'm having troubles with my lift axle in the back. By the looks of it, it's glitched out a little bit. This vehicle would not be able to make it over the raised rails on the other side. So this is basically a mover that can move stuff around, you know, on flat concrete surfaces and maybe these small rises here, which is why I didn't really use this build that often. In fact, I think I only used it a couple of times, and that was kind of during testing. I've never actually taken this build on a full run, but I wanted to show it because it just shows where my mindset was kind of going. So rear hydraulics down, extend to drop off our container. I don't know why I got out of the seat. I don't need to get out of the seat. So we'll extend to drop off the container. And again, doing this is a little more difficult than like placing it like this. Placing the container like this is a little bit more difficult when you're trying to stop getting out of the thing. When you're trying to load a trailer. Because you see how it held on there a little bit. Raise my rear, and we're free. But you saw the container there held on to my rear end a little bit as I pulled out, which means, you know, precision placing a container beside a train would not be easy with this. In fact, it would be it was rather difficult. Whoops. Load, unload. Okay, and then of course, like I said, loading it back up. You see what our problem here is going to be. We have to get in under the arms, which is why the wheels turn as far as they do. Because I could easily limit that, but I need to be able to get this back in like this, and then just carve it to get underneath and into position. And even then, I'm not in position, as you can see. I'm way out. But because the wheels turn so much, I can kind of weasel my ass end out a little more. Back and forth like this. So then when you're in position, which is roughly that lined up, that T-bar, you want that T-bar kind of lined up. So I'm kind of in position here. And you can see what's happened. My bar is now upside down. So even if I bring it down, I have to grab it and spin it around. And then I have to, you know, hold on to that one. No, it's going to spin again, so I have to swing that back. Swing that back. No. Oh, swing that back. There we go. So magnets are on, all that's on. Bring the bar down. And the magnets on? Magnets are on. Or wait. Oh, it's backwards. Okay. So bar up. And then we load the car. And you can also see an issue there. Watch when I'll lower it back down. Watch this fitting right here. See how it's torquing? That will eventually lead to glitches happening in the build because it's not strong enough. It's not strong enough for that. So now we'll load this back up. Back on. Like so. Raise our side back up. Which I'm amazed this side hasn't got stuck yet. And then we will... I don't know what happened there. Oh, I do know what happened there. Because the bar goes like sideways. I hit bar up and down and it went sideways. But anyways. So there's that one. So then, I got into vehicle mode after that. My mind started going into vehicle mode. And I know this is a train video, but my mind... I want to talk about these containers first before I start getting into the train. So then my mind started going, okay, container mode. I can transport containers. I can just transport them, you know. So then I got into the thought of, well, you know what? Why don't I just build something to transport the containers and to hell with the train? And that came up with another design. It was this design. Oh shit! And it. Wait, why don't that fit? That should fit. That doesn't fit? That should fit in this loading area. Well, shit, it doesn't fit in this loading area. Alright, so, let's... get out of here. I thought it fit in. I thought I built it to fit in the train area, but I guess not. Is there a build area? There is not. Okay, so I'll just have to... I'll teleport somewhere that's got a build area. You know what? Let's go to the FJ docks, because there's a build area there plus containers. Okay, even though this place is kind of laggy, you can see my physics has really taken a kick here. I'm going to actually get rid of the weather. Override weather, get rid of the rain, get rid of the wind, get rid of the fog. Because that also has, that also hurts your physics or your rendering, whatever you want to call it. So we'll get rid of that, and you see it's already sped me up a little bit more. Okay, so in here, this is actually where I built this vehicle. But I thought it was wide enough for a train track. Anyway, so this is a container transport that I built. So I was like, okay, well, why not just transport the containers? Instead of using a train, why not just transport them? So this is the design I came up with for that. Boom! So, come up into here, into our cockpit. And now you see we actually have a really decent view. We got a really good view. And we have a container area. And you're going to start to notice this, if you haven't already, you're going to start to notice this design I have here. This shape, where it's a straight beam in the middle, and then two braces off to the side, which kind of form Ys, and then those Ys go to electrical connectors. You're going to notice that in a few of my builds. You probably already did. I had that design on the car that I just lifted. I had that design on the arms for the first cargo mover. That was the arm set for the first cargo mover was shaped like that. So this guy, I basically made to drive the containers to different places. So I was like, you know what? I can just pick up the container and drive it to where it needs to go. So that was the thought behind this vehicle. As you can see, it's very, very easy to drive. It's very, very easy to bullseye the container. The only caveat is you still have to get out, because you still have to activate the damn container. So you still have to come to the container. You still got to turn on the container, which you should be doing. I understand why you have to do that to begin with, because you have to actually come to the container to find out where the hell the container is going. So this one's going to BBG Freight. So we'll activate that. We'll come back up. We'll close the door. And this is like a really easy vehicle to drive from the inside. So I need to turn off my parking brakes so I can move into position here. And a little further. Up and down. I think I gotta go a little further. A little further. Oh, there we go. Ah, shit. There we go. Okay, lift her up. And we have our container. And once we have our container, you can see it picks it up. We have some beautiful clearance underneath. Tons of clearance for the container. And we don't lose any speed. We're still going. And we can take this container wherever the hell we want to go. We just fire it up, and we want to go that way, we go that way. And we want to drive over train tracks, we drive over train tracks. It'll get us to where we want to go. Lots of lighting on the front, so we can basically do whatever we want. So I built this vehicle, and it works great. And I did a lot of loads with this. I've done quite a few loads with this vehicle. Not so good for placing containers beside train cars because of the vehicle size itself. But it gets the job done in moving containers, which is, of course, the whole goal. So then I started, once I had this, I started getting into the aspect of, okay, well, now that I have a container mover, which is a very good container mover, I need to figure out a way of getting this container mover to different islands, because the problem I'm going to have, as you can see, it's just a little bit wide. It's just a little bit more narrow than 2 tracks. So what would happen is, in places, like for example here, where there's only a train track connecting the two, if I had something that needed to go from here to here, I would have to take the train track down with this. And what would end up happening was I'd be cruising along, and something would happen, and I'd bang off the side, and then it would go squirrely and sideways and crash, bang, boom. I would have parts exploding all over the place, and it would be an absolute freaking disaster. Because then I would have two, or I would have not two. I'd have I'd have two. I'd have the container plus the vehicle, but I would basically have 2 objects sitting on the rail line. And not be able to do anything. So that was a problem. That was a big problem. So then I was like, okay, well, this is a great system. This is a great design. And again, I will get back to trains here in a little bit. This is rolling up to that. So I was like, okay, this is a great design, but my problem here is I can't go from island to island because of the inability for it to run down a railroad. And the rail lines are really the only thing that connects the islands, other than water. So I was like, well, if I can't take this, excuse me, if I can't take this down a rail line, can I take it on the water? So that was my next thought. Can I take this on the water? And if I'm going to be taking this on the water, can I make it more efficient to take it on the water? So after that, actually I shouldn't say that. This was actually the next design. This is the next design because yeah, sorry, I'm jumping ahead of myself. This was the next design because 1 container was good, 2 containers is better. So this was actually the next design. Which is the same as the first design, except it's extended. It's longer. It has 2 sets of tracks, and the tracks actually work together to basically work as 1 track. two tracks work together to basically work as one track. So you can see when I turn, you can see the tracks, they go the same direction. So they all work together. I found that because of the narrowness, it was actually fairly tippy. In fact, sometimes it would slide sideways, and I would get really nervous that it was going to flip over on its side, which it did a couple of times. Which is why you see the stabilizers. So when I'm ripping along, these come down, basically like training wheels to keep me from flipping over when she starts to slide sideways, just like that. See how it's sliding sideways? If I didn't have that training wheel in place, it could have flipped onto its side. I'm using big motors on it because big motors equal speed. As you can see, she flies, she rips. And of course, like I said, it's designed for picking up multiple containers at once. So, you bring in your first container, you bring your first container down the middle, and you pick it up on the back here, which you'd have to, yeah, you always have to get out and turn it on. I think I left the other one turned on, so I'm just going to go get the other one, the one that I picked up at the first. I'll use these two as my demo. So you activate the back, and of course I'm using large engines now, so that's why it's kind of unruly as far as the speed goes. So yeah, so then we climb back up, we get in our seat. All right, and rear container magnets, turn them on, and lower our gantries. The gantries lower together. I'm not quite in position, so let's wiggle it around a little bit here. Oh, a little bit of a bump. We're in position now. There we go. Okay, so you lift that one up, and then you go get your second container, which I left over there. It is a little unruly trying to turn this thing, because it just wants to friggin' spin. So our other container was this yellow one, right? You can see the view that we have. We got an amazing view from this thing, which is exactly how I wanted it. So we line up our container, which I'm pretty sure this is the container. Is this the? Yeah, it's turned on. Okay. So we line up our container, we pull it in, and we can tell when it's in by, we'll be able to see it there. Okay. Whoop. She's jumpy, like I said. Lower down our gantry. Very slowly. A little bit forward. Oh. I went down too far. There we go. So lift it up. Now we got both of our containers. So we got two containers loaded. And now we just set course for wherever we're going. Let's say we're going, you know, wherever over there. Just fire it up. You see how fast we can get her going. And we're gone. Now the biggest problem with this is you can see it has so much power that it hopscotches. And it gets airborne. And away we go. This is the problem with this one. And when we try to turn at full speed, she tries to flip herself. I mean, she's a great little machine. She gets these cargo containers where she's going. But again, it can only do it across the ground. So it has that flaw. And the other flaw is it's like I said, it's a little unruly. You can see it just wants to It wants to have its day. So then we go into a turn. You see she starts to slide sideways. And if that wheel wasn't out, we would have probably flipped over. So now, because of this, this is actually where I came to the point of, okay, well now I have something that's fast, can get stuff there, but the problem is now that I can't take it down the rails because I have to have these extenders out. Either that or I got to drive at like 2 miles per hour. If I don't have the extenders out, I can't go fast because she'll flip. So that kind of created a problem instead of solving one. So I'm going to drop these two here. And I actually think these are too far apart, but whatever. It is what it is. So anyway, that was this build. Like I said, unruly. It's fast, it's unruly. But again, it got the job done. I was able to get containers, you know, on one landmass. I was able to get containers from one spot to another really fast. And it's not even that expensive of a build. So, you know, it works out. But then, like I said, I can't take this up the rails, which means I'm stuck. Fuck off. Stupid Windows. I can't take these up the rails. And what that means is I am pretty much confined to the one island. So anybody who knows, if you're confined to one island, your container expenses or your container costs, or like the reward you get for delivering them, is stupid low. It is stupid low. You're talking maybe $2,000, maybe $3,000, just like doing a regular mission, you know. And you have the chance of crashing. You have a chance of not making it there. You have a chance of flipping over. You know, there's all of these things that add up to make it not worth it, not worth your while, because you can make a small boat, a small rescue boat, like say, where is it? Like this little guy. You can make a small rescue boat like this little guy. This is one of my rescue boats, but it also has a crab pot since the fishing update came out. I put a crab pot on it. But anyway, point being, you can have a small fishing boat like this and make the same money just rescuing stricken sailors on fishing boats, or running people from one place to another, like delivery missions, or even, like I said, even fishing. I can make $1,000 fishing just by putting this in the water and hopping in the bed and sleeping for 24 hours. I'll bring this up; it'll be full. I go to the dock and they're like $100 a crab, and I'll have like 12 crabs, so there's $1,200. So like, there's all different ways of making money, but I wanted to focus specifically on containers because I thought container moving is a really cool part of this game. It's a really cool aspect. Instead of just making vehicles to travel here and there, you can make container movers, and it was a challenge. So I thought, how am I going to get containers from one island to the next if I can't drive my container mover from one island to the next? So I came up with this puppy. And you might notice it looks very similar to what I was just doing. It's still got the same tower. It's got the same tower on the back. It's got the same kind of platform. We're still using tank treads, and it still has two container pickups. However, the difference is it's got floats built onto it. These are hollow floats. They were built in a creative environment, or not a creative environment, a survival environment. So they all have ballast, or not ballast. They have sump systems. So this is a sump pump controller that I made, and basically all it does is it reads how much fluid's in a volume, and if there's fluid, it pumps it out. Where am I going? I'm going to here. So it reads the liquid level, and if the liquid level is above what's acceptable, which is 0, pretty much, it fires up the pump and pumps it out. And that's basically all it does. That's how the whole thing works. So you can see it pumps out here. Well, it pumps in here. These vents here. Pumps in here, and it just pumps out the side. So if water gets into these pontoons for any reason, it clears it out. Same with the back here. There's another sump pump system right here. If water gets in, it pumps it out. And that has saved me more than a few times. We have our glitch generator buried in the neck. You can see it here. It is buried in the neck. I do need to make an access port for that though, because I found out, like I said last video, there's an issue with the glitch generator during saving and loading. If you're doing saving and loading, you might have to flip that switch. So I should probably do that right now. Let's make a hole right here. And the best way to do it would be to go like that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put a hatch. Now you know what? Let's go with a full size hatch. Because if we go with the hinged hatch, it's not going to work out right. So we'll do that. We will do the hinged hatch. Actually, I got to get the color right. Hinged hatch, and we will put that on the side here, like so we can access it. Now the one thing that's also missing from this is a booster, because I found out that you may need to boost. So let's add one of those. Via not a connector, an anchor. We need an electrical anchor, which I will put on the front here. So we'll just face it this way, I guess. That should be good enough. And I'll tie that in. I'll tie that in with a wedge just to make it look like it belongs. Okay, but that electrical connector, little paint on there, make it look nice. That electrical connector has to go directly to the battery. So that way, if the glitch generator fails, now again, the glitch generator has two generators. It has this small generator down here which powers the internal loop. You can see the internal power loop here, from there to the battery, and from the battery to the breaker, and then the breaker outputs to everything else. So the breaker outputs to the switch, the breaker outputs to this gearbox, the breaker outputs to the display, and the breaker also outputs to this motor in the back. So that's your internal loop. That's your internal loop, basically, from the battery to the switch, out to the motor, and then the generator puts it back in. The generator puts the power back in. So that's the way it works. Yeah, so that's basically how it works. And then it has this second generator on the back, which is outside that loop, which is where you get your power from. So that's where you get your power from. Now the problem is, if the glitch goes into a failure mode, it won't be able to trigger the clutches and whatnot at the right time. It won't have the power to put into this electric motor to spin the flywheel, which you can see the shadow of right there. It won't have the power to spin the flywheel, and you'll end up with a power down situation. And then you go look at your battery, and your battery is like, oh shit, you only have 50% power, and this thing needs 80% to actually fire up. So that's why you put the electrical connector on there. So you can shut the breaker off. Shut the breaker off so it's not using any power. The flywheel will go down to zero. Everything will go standby mode. Everything will go to zero. Won't be using any power. And then you hook up something to here. So say I have an electrical cable link or somewhere else on my ship, and it's hooked up to these batteries. I can actually hook up a cable from there to there, and boost start the glitch generator again. Or if I have another boat nearby or something that has an electrical connection on it, I can hook it up to the glitch generator and just boost it like you'd boost a car. It'll put power back into this little battery, and then the little battery can be used to fire up the generator again. And that's the way that works. So now that we have that all fixed, now that we have the access port on there and we've got the glitch generator all hooked up, I should probably save it. I gotta find it again. It was on this side, I think. I think it was on this side, wasn't it? That's the one. It should be here somewhere. That's the 2. Where are you? Where are you? There it is. Okay, resave that. All right. This also has 2 different modes, like before. It's got the drive mode. It's got an amphib mode. It has motors for each. So it has a motor for the drive mode, and it has a motor for the amphibious mode. It toggles between them. I have I created my own controllers for those. So you see, I have I got the controllers in here. That one's for the thing. That's the WS jet controller. That controls the. Yeah, that's the controller for the jets. That's the amphib tank controller. So if I go to here, you can see the amphib tank controller itself has a toggle. You can switch back and forth from land to water. Brings the throttle in, brings the steering in, and then it sends it to the track motors, or to the it'll output to the amphibious. And then on the amphibious side, because I'm using jets, I have a controller for that, and that takes in steering and throttle. So it basically gets the steering and throttle from here. So if you switch this to C mode, it'll output the steering and the throttle to the jet controller, and then the jet controller has its output to electric motors. So that's the motors on the left and right. It has the outputs to the jets left and right, and it has the outputs to the jets. Well, it has the outputs to the jet left, and then it has the output to the jet right. And then the stabilizer, I just use a constant number for the stabilizer. Just set it as 0, because I don't need it to stabilize anything. So the stabilizer gets a constant 0. But anyways, in this mode, you can actually see all the different systems in here. I have this is the sump pump for this side. There's the sump pump for the other side. The sump pump for the back over here. Sump pump for the back over here. I have a sump pump for the center core, because of course this is hollow as well, the center core. So I have a sump pump there. The batteries for the vehicle are elevated. They're here, and then of course the control systems for the drive unit and the power. Well, basically the motor. And up top I have the system for magnets grabbing the containers. I have the ups and downs for the containers, and there you go. That's it. And then of course everything meets up in the in the wild mess that is the steering. Everything meets up in the wild mess that is the steering. Yeah. Oh, and because it's a boat, we have nav lights, navigation lights on it. So there you go. So this one, and once again, this is supposed to be a train video, and I'm already an hour into this, and I mean, we started with trains. Oh, it was because it was saving. There was some save lag there. So this one, whoops, well, come on. This one is the amphib version, like I said. It has less drive power because I needed it to be a little more stable. So we'll bring it out here, and we will get our tank drive going. Pick up our containers. Now these bumpers back here are supposed to stabilize the containers, but I don't know if they actually do that. I shouldn't say stabilize. I should say they're supposed to prevent the containers from banging into the hull. Because like I said, I was playing this. I wasn't playing this in creative mode. I was playing this in survival mode. I had vehicle damage on. Like right now, vehicle damage is off because I'm just displaying this stuff. But vehicle damage was on when I was actually utilizing these things. Look at that, right down the middle. So I needed to make sure that I wouldn't wreck anything, and that's why I put these bumpers in. You can see the bumpers are doing their job. But the bumpers also, as you can see, the containers jump around. So that's one problem with the bumpers. And you can see if I move away from the bumpers, they stop doing that. So that's the one problem with the bumpers. Actually, that said, I should probably get rid of those. Or at least lower their, I don't know if you can you lower their strength? Yeah, you can lower their power way down. Let's lower the power way down on those. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the power's too high. And it's just kicking the living shit out of them. Because they're supposed to be buffers. They're supposed to be shock absorbers. They're not supposed to be pushy in any way. They're supposed to just absorb the shock of running into a container. So if I lower the power down to 1%, right now it's at 50, and 50 they're not even moving at 50. They're completely staying perfectly solid at 50. So if I move them down to 1%, at least they should move out of the way. If nothing else, they'll move out of the way. So we'll do this in here and spawn. And okay. So this is, we're an hour into this video. This is going to be another long video. Just FYI. These Stormworks videos seem to be long. Oh! And you'll notice on the bottom here, yeah, probably, you might have noticed it on the last two vehicles as well. The last two driving container movers. I put a rope pulley in the bottom here. The reason I put a rope pulley in the bottom here is so I can tow. If I need to tow a vehicle, say, I get a message pop up that says disabled vehicle, yada yada yada, I can hook up a winch to either side, and I can tow it. Or if something happens and say I lose a container, or this gets damaged and whatever, I can attach the two ropes to the container, and I can drag the container behind the vehicle as well. I've done that in the water. Actually, I've done that. I had a weird collision happen, just random, like completely random. I didn't run into anything. It's just the physics did a weird screw up. And what happened was I was driving along, and then all of a sudden the container just went boom, like as if a bomb went off in the container. I was like, okay, what the frig just happened? But yeah, so then when that happened, I was actually out in the water when that happened. And So I lost the container magnets. The container ended up floating, and it started bouncing around inside the holding area, which is what I call where the containers reside. I call it the holding area. So it started bouncing around the holding area, and I was afraid it was gonna, bust through the damn hull. Oh, that works a lot better. It still doesn't work perfect, but it works better. At least it pushes them in now. You can see them push in. So it works more like a bumper. So okay, so let's turn on our magnets, 2 and 3. Let's lower our pickups. Come on. Grab on, you. Oh, maybe the magnets are already on. I think they're on by default. There we go. Okay. Raise them up. Raise them up! Yeah, you can see how it's... You can see how they're bouncing around. I'm pretty sure that's due to the... I'm pretty sure that's due to those buffers. I need to get those out of there. I need to get those out of there. Okay, let's just detach these, back off, and let's get rid of those bumpers completely. So I think that's what's causing that to screw up, is the bumpers. I thought they were good. I thought they were going to be useful, but turns out they are just being a problem. So let us do away with them. Why can't I? The hell's the problem here? Apparently you can't go from there to there. Weird. I'm gonna leave those in though, because I think those are blocking. I think there's something behind those. Not these. Those are fine, but I think something's behind these ones. Pretty sure something's behind those ones. Yep. Oh. Oh! I thought there was something there, but there is not. Okay. I actually thought there was something there. Nothing there. Okay. Just an air pocket. Okay. So we'll leave it like that. I mean, the bumpers were an idea, but I guess they're not technically bumpers. They're technically friction pads. So they don't seem to be doing their job as friction pads. They seem to be causing more friction. Or I shouldn't say causing more friction. They seem to be causing more instability. You would think a friction pad would be would stop something from moving, not actually prompt it to move more. Okay, so let's do this again. I just love hitting the parking brakes and slamming it. Okay, so these guys, or this guy, I should say, you just, like I had, you pull over the containers. And again, for some reason, I don't know why. I don't have any displays to tell me if anything's turned on or off. So I don't know if the magnets are on. I don't know if the magnets are off. There's no visible indicator of which. It just kind of, they just grab when they're on and don't when they're off. So that's basically where we're at. So I think by default they're on. So let's just lower it down and see what happens. Yep. Okay, by default they're on. So we got our 2 containers. Raise them up. And this is a very inefficient system because the containers don't lock in. I am actually holding them up like they're the motors. The motors are constantly lifting. They're constantly lifting to keep them up. So, and that's burning power. So it's definitely not an efficient design. But this was built because I needed a way to get from between the islands with containers. So I could take these down and fire up my nav lights here, and I can go right down this ramp, right into the water, and switch over to my amphib mode, which you will see in a second here. So I hit the water, and my boat starts to float. I switch over to amphib mode, and we are gone. So now I can take containers from one island to another, and at a fairly decent speed, I might add. So this was the design I used for quite a bit. I used this for quite a while, and it works really well. Like I said, I would have a couple of little problems here and there where it would glitch kind of a little bit, but for the most part, it worked really, really well. It still does. I still use it. I might use it a bit more now that the containers aren't mucking around anymore. I didn't realize it was the thing that was screwed it up. One problem with this build, though, and you can kind of see it there. Let's switch back to normal drive mode. One problem with this build, and you kind of see it under the middle, is the fact that it has such a low clearance. It has a low clearance, so low that I actually put tires on the bottom here because they do touch down. And it does need relatively flat land to get from point A to point B. It does not like steep slopes. It does not like hills. It doesn't like driving down the sides of hills or anything like that. It is a very fussy machine, but it's a machine that gets from point A to point B, and that's the whole goal. But it is, like I said, it's a fussy machine, and things do happen. Plus, the biggest downside to it is you can only carry 2 cargo containers. So if I'm going from one location to another, and I'm going over a distance, I could pick up my 2 cargo containers here, but I might pass another 3 or 4 cargo containers that I could also take to that same location as I'm traveling. And that's happened to me a few times. I'd be like, oh, these can go from one base to another, and then I'd get partway there, and I'm like, oh, well, here's another loading dock, and I'd stop at that loading dock, and then when I get to that loading dock, I'm like, oh, well, shit, here's another container that I could take there, and this container is actually going to make me more money if I were to take this container there instead of this other container. So then I'd have to start picking and choosing containers, because one container would make me more money than another. So I drag a container halfway across the map and find out that a closer container made me more money because of what was in it or something. So that would just lead to a whole bunch of chaos. Because if you want to make money, like I said, you got to do some traveling. Unfortunately, sometimes, depending on the contents of the container as well, sometimes you can actually find a closer container that's worth more than the container you've already started traveling with. And when that happens, it's kind of like, well, now, I wish I could carry more containers. See my front tire touch down there? You don't even need to ask me how many times that happened before I put that tire there. More than once, I'll tell you that much. But anyway, so that is the evolution of the cargo carriers. But once I got to this point, I kind of got into the mindset of, okay, this is a great cargo carrier, but now I'm kind of stuck. And I got on this. I'm gonna blame ADHD for it, because I got on this track of making better and better and better vehicles for moving containers. But in the I'm not going to say struggle, in the challenge of doing that, I lost the whole thing that I had started with, which was transporting them on rail. That was the whole reason I started getting into the cargo container stuff, was like transporting them on rail. Because you could transport a hell of a lot of cargo containers on rail. And your trains can be almost as long as you want them to be. So you can keep throwing on more train cars, as long as your train's capable of pulling it. And you could just keep going and going and going. So once I got to this point, and I was kind of like, okay, well now I got this container carrying machine down to a science, but I'm in the boat again where, you know, I'm traveling by vehicle, I'm not traveling by train, which limits how much I can take. And if I want to do any Arctic runs or anything like that, I'm SOL. I can't take this up to the Arctic. It's going to take forever to get there. I need a train to get to the Arctic, or a large superliner boat. Which, don't think for 1 second that I didn't try to make a cargo containing supercarrier of a boat, because I did. I most certainly tried that. That was actually the next phase. The next phase, once I had that built, I didn't think instantly, again, going back to my ADHD brain, I didn't think instantly, how the hell can I, build a train to get up to the Arctic? I thought, okay, now I have this cool loader. I have this great loader that can move, that can bring everything to a port. Now I need a boat that I can park at the port, load it up, and head to the Arctic. Without even thinking. I wasn't even thinking that, when I get to the Arctic, I'm not going to have the machine there to unload it. My brain didn't even consider that. It didn't even hit, didn't even register. It was kind of like, okay, step 1, build awesome vehicle to bring containers to port. Step 2, build boat to take containers to Arctic. That was where my brain process went, was, that's where it went. It wasn't like, let's make an all-in-one vehicle that can do everything. It was, okay, build one awesome vehicle that can do this, and then build another awesome vehicle that can do the next step. So I actually started that process. Thank God I stopped it, because I was going, I don't even know where I was going with that process. But if it's here, I want to show you. That's why I ran over to this workbench. If it's here, I want to show you. I don't know if I saved it, or if I started building it and I was like, what the hell am I doing? It may not be here. It may not be here, because I used my oil rig, and I don't see the oil rig. Oh, there it is. There it is. I sure as hell. There it is. My container mover. This is what I started with. This is my oil carrier. I've used this for a few things. I've used this as an oil carrier. I've used it as a fuel processing center. I've used it as quite a few things, actually. So like I said, I build one platform that I really like, and then I modify it for different uses. And this is one of the uses I started working on, but then I hit a point of like, what the hell am I doing? And I stopped it. I don't even think I got the gantry working. I don't even think I got the gantry working. I don't think I got the gantry working. I don't think I got any controls into it for the deck. I don't think I got anything functional on this on this boat yet. No, yeah, all the test controls are. I still have all the test controls in place. So I don't even have them labeled. Oh, okay, that's that. Okay, that's back and forward for the gantry. That's the back and forward for the gantry. Okay, and the gantry makes the boat real top heavy. So I wanted a. I wanted. Okay, that's left and right for the gantry. Okay. Did I ever? Oh, that's the okay. That's yep. Okay, that's the folding of the gantry. So I made it so the gantry folds down, so the boat wouldn't be so top heavy. So the gantry can fold right down to the deck, pretty much. What is this? Is this my? What is it? I don't even. What is this lever for? Oh, oh, that's for the in and out. Let's raise it up. Let's. Okay, so that's the in and that's the extender. Did I ever get that working? I don't think I got that working. I don't know that I got the extender working. I think it's broke as fuck. I'm pretty sure it is. Okay, wait a minute. That's extending backwards. Well, I got it extending the wrong way. That's supposed to extend forward. I need to turn that around, because then I was going to have the container lifter off of this end. But that's extending the wrong way. It's supposed to extend off the front of the boat so you can pick up from the dock. Anyway, so it looks like I got sort of there. I got quite a bit of it done. But I don't know that this would actually be able to do any like actually move containers. I don't know that I'd actually be able to move any containers with this thing. I think the first container I pick up should be so friggin' top heavy that it would I think it would turtle. I think it would flip right over. It would turtle itself right over. That's the button anchor. Where's the? Did I not add a button for the deck? Did I not put in any button for the deck? I could tell I got my door controller on it. I definitely have my door controller on it. Anchors up, down, exterior lights, nav lights. I don't think I added a button for the deck. Because the way that I was designing this was I wanted a sealed compartment. I wanted this compartment here because this will hold, this will keep water out. This sealed compartment will keep water out. Just like we saw in the other video where they had the moon pool. Okay, that's continuing along. Wait, that's separate from that? Yeah, I did something really weird there. I don't know what I did there. That shouldn't be separate from that. That should move with that. Anyway, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I didn't put in a separate button for the deck, but I can tell that I have the deck set up. I'll guarantee that deck lowers down. Logic. Yeah, that deck definitely lowers down. But where's? Oh, do I not have anything? No, I have them all. I have them hooked up. Where do I have them hooked up to? I have them hooked up to a controller over here. They're all hooked up to. Where are you? You're hooked up to this controller here. Come on. This controller here. Deck control. Oh, it's just a lever? How is it just a lever? It should be a button. It should be a toggle button to toggle it down and up. Why would I do it that way? That's not right. Unless that was just for testing purposes, but it's installed. It's installed on the vehicle. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Anyway, so yeah, the deck lowers. Let me bring it inside here. The deck lowers down, and the storage containers actually go down, in this area, while the deck comes down to meet the floor, and then the containers are actually held down in the hull, down like in this area, and they stick up a very tiny bit above the hull, and that maintains the stability of the boat. Um, but yeah, so I started on this design, and then I was like, "What the hell am I doing? Like, why am I building a machine that needs another machine? That doesn't make any sense." So then, and now we're going to start getting into basically, an hour and 30 minutes in. We're going to actually get into the whole point of this video, which was talking about trains and the train designs that I've been working on. I'm not going to say they're completely bug free. I'm not going to say they're beautiful. They're definitely not beautiful. I'll tell you that much right now. Why didn't that complete? It does have a mechanical issue. Oh, I missed out on $4,000 there for some reason. Oh well. Anyway, what the hell's going on up here? Picnic boat has an emergency. Okay, well you're on your own. Sorry, but you're on your own. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna actually start at Terminal Spy Cake over here. Um, just because it's at the end of the line. It's easier to work from a train station that's at the end of the line. Okay, so starting off, I had a few different train designs or a few different engine designs that I went through. I got to scroll all the way down to the bottom here. And you're gonna see some weird builds like this guy. This is a weird nuclear carrier that I was working on that had runways on both sides. Yeah. I went into some weird areas. Um, I built all these train cars here. I got platform trailers. I've got platform and caboose. I got tankers for water. I got tankers for jet fuel. Tankers for diesel. Um, Oil didn't exist then, so I don't have a tanker for oil. But all of these, I made all of these with the idea that I was going to be hauling uh, fluids. I was going to be hauling, that kind of stuff. Um, I didn't get into cargo containers back then. This here is a fun one. This was my diesel sled. This was built back when you could actually use airflow to get ridiculous speeds. Um, and this was basically designed to unlock the Arctic is as possible, as fast as possible. I think the fastest I ever made it to the Arctic was like a minute and a half, something like that. It was stupid. It was ridiculously fast. But anyways, this is I'm getting off topic here, but this was my Arctic sled, um, and you can see I used engines back then because the glitch had not happened. This was the nuclear version of that, where it had a reactor and it used a prop. It was pretty fast too, but it wasn't as fast as the diesel sled. But you're using nuclear power, so it took time to warm up. It took time to get the boilers up to pressure and get steam and all that. But once she was fired up, she moved. Uh, just off the one propeller, she moved pretty damn good. But anyways, those were my Arctic sleds. Um, then I had, where's the train? Because then there was a train that kind of matched the other guys. This guy. This is my diesel train. I used a diesel engine. You can see the diesel engine. It ran off generators. If I can flip it around, it has generators at the other end. So this was actually a diesel electric build because it used the diesel engines to power electric motors. And then those electric motors would, of course, generate power for the drive unit, which was up front, up here. So there's my drive unit, and my drive unit powered this axle, and it also powered this axle here. So the electric motor powered both of these axles here. I forget what was in here. I think these are batteries. Yeah, there's batteries. So under the cowling at the front is just the two giant batteries. But this train was actually a lot of fun to build because I had a lot of systems built into this train. This train was my first train where I started, where I tried to make knuckles, and you can see this is my first knuckle design. Very similar to the knuckle design I have now, except I went with just a T shape. I didn't finish it off. I didn't have the light on the top to show that it was connected or anything like that. I just went with the three connectors. I had a camera on the back here. This camera was toggleable, and the signal for the camera, I think I had it routed through. Yeah, I had the signal for the camera. Could go up front, but I also had a second signal that would come in from further down the train. And this camera signal actually continued through the whole train until it reached the caboose. So I actually had a camera on the caboose way at that I would park at the other end of the train, and that caboose cable, you can see it's the cable ends here. There's actually a wire here to here, and there's a wire here to here. But these cameras would actually be controllable through a box, through this switch box, and it would display the video here on this kind of side monitor. So I would be driving out the front window, which, where the hell is the front window? Oh, I'd be driving, I'd be in the center here, right? I thought it was offset. This is before I started doing offset cabs. So I would be driving from the center here. There's the seat, all the controls, all the train controls. So I'd be driving from the center. I'd have on this screen, I would have my rear view. And I would be able to toggle it between this camera, and when it's connected, I'd be able to toggle through the caboose camera. Also, I had, you can see the wireless on the roof here, the antenna. This was also the first build that I ever did, where I set up wireless remote control, which is going to come into play in what I'm going to be showing you later. This is the first build where I set up wireless remote control, and I did that through using composite and a control box, and you can see the composite travels between the trains as well. So I can send the signal through the trains. I can send the signal through the antenna, basically. And the way that worked was, I could toggle between where the controls were. So I could actually run this engine either from the seat here, or I could run it from the caboose, which was kind of advantageous because at some points you would pass a switch and you would need to back in to a place. So you would drive past the switch, walk back to the caboose, flip the switch, like flip the train, the rail switch. You'd flip the rail switch, and then instead of walking back to the front of the train, you just hop in the caboose and you control it from the caboose. You control the whole train from the caboose, or the train, well, the train engine. You control the front, the train engine from the caboose. Where is the caboose? I want to show the caboose. There it is. So you control the train, as you can see on the radio antenna on the caboose, and you have the connectors and whatnot. And you'd have a display, and this display would be for the forward view. It would show you the camera off the front of the train, because there's a camera on the front of the train, there's a camera on the rear of the train. So there's your rear camera off the train. You can see it goes through that connector, and it travels up the whole train. But you also have a view here, which is from the front of the train. This is the view from the front of the train, and it comes back. It also comes through It also comes through. So the camera from the rear goes to the front. The camera from the front comes to the rear, and it's displayed here. So on these controls here, which you can toggle, so there's the green button there. If you press that green button, you toggle that green button, it actually turns these controls on. So with this door open out the back, you could be watching where you're going. So you could be standing here, watching out the back door. I rarely use the seat. You can actually see hidden behind the seat is all the control stuff for this. But so I'd rarely use the seat. I'd be standing like here, and I'd be controlling the train here. If I needed to go forward, I would use this view. I'd look through that view. If I needed to go backward, I'd be looking through the back door, like out the open back door. And I can control the train here and set it, because one of these levers is forward reverse, one of these levers is throttle, and then of course, or no, sorry, that's wrong. That is absolutely incorrect. The one's throttle, the button is forward reverse toggle, and this lever here, I believe, was brake control. So applying and releasing brake. So, because you could put it in reverse, you throttle up, and then bring the throttle back to 0, and the train would continue to roll until you applied the brake. And the brake signal was sent through the whole train as well. It was transmitted through the whole train as well, so it would apply brakes to every trailer along the train, which is something I didn't do in my most recent train, and I'm kind of kicking myself for, because my most recent train build, which, like I said, this build was at a time when, how to explain it, when I wasn't thinking about moving containers. I built this entire train without thinking at all about moving containers. It was all about moving vehicles. That's what this bed was for. This bed was for moving a vehicle, and it was for moving bulk materials like diesel, like fuel, like water, shipping that kind of stuff. So when I built this train, the focus wasn't on containers, which was a problem, because that's where the money ended up being, was in the containers. I don't even know if you can ship fluids now. I don't know if that's a thing. I believe it was at one point, but I don't think it is now. Oh, I did have the indicator light on this one. So I don't believe nowadays. Wait, I have brake control back here, don't I? Yeah. Open the door. So yeah, I'd be standing here, and I'd be, that's the throttle. This is the brake. Brake off. So I'd be standing back here, and I'd be, watching where I'm going, backing up, and then I could look in the view, and I could see what's going on in front of the train if I needed to go forward. That kind of stuff. So I release the brake now. Hopefully this will move. Because in my next build, I went with auto brakes. So are these wheels turning? That's the question. These wheels are not turning. So I'm guessing this system has auto brakes. Yeah, the brakes are applied. So this train here has auto brakes. Or this car, I should say, has auto brakes. I should have stuck with brakes on, or brake control, I should say. I should have stuck with brake control. Oh, wait a minute. I don't have a train hooked up to the front. I don't have a train hooked up to the front. So this brake is doing... This brake I don't think is doing anything. It might be controlling this. It might be controlling this brake. But it's not transmitting to the front. It's not transmitting the signal to the front of the train, which then sends the signal through the train. Yeah, it's only controlling the brakes on the caboose. Because the brake signal doesn't go through this knuckle. It comes from the front down. Through it gets transmitted via the antenna to the front of the train, and where the engine is actually where the brakes are. The brakes are at the engine. They're not actually on the caboose. So the caboose can apply its own brakes, but the rest of the train is set to take the brake signal from the engine, not from the rest of it. So I'm gonna move this out here because I want to show the bed. Is what I want to show, because this is the first time that I started getting into loading and unloading things, which is that's going to play into the train that I'm going to eventually show you too. So this is the first time I started moving into loading and unloading, and you can see I did it all manually. I didn't set up microcontrollers on this as of yet. I didn't use microcontrollers, so this is all manually controlled. So I have to manually slide it out. Then when it reaches its limit, then I have to manually lower it down. It hits the bottom, and you press the button, and it opens. So then you load your whatever on, your a vehicle or whatever. Containers won't fit on this thing. It's too narrow. But this is where I started getting into the whole thought process of doing containers. And, you know what? I never even thought of this design for containers. I never even thought of doing it this way. Just having the one thing come down, grab the container, lift it up, and then just the one little arm bringing the container back onto the bed, instead of having a whole giant assembly do it. I never even thought of that. Well, I just had a brainstorm for my next container train. Or my next container trailer, I should say. So that goes up, and then these go in. And there you go. Loaded. Now the problem with this bed was look at the height of it. So, and some of these trains, like this track here, will go through these buildings. At least a few more, like the next building I get to, or the next actual train station I get to, has one of these buildings right on the track, and you have to go through it. So you are limited on your height, on the height that you can build. As well, there are tunnels along these lines. So, once again, this deck, putting a vehicle on this deck is very... you have to be very cautious with what you put on this deck, because it will bring it up. It will put it up here, but it will not check to find out if it can clear what is on the track. So you have to be very careful with what you put on these decks. And there, I see deck lighting up there, and I think that deck lighting comes on when it's actually connected, if I do remember correctly. But anyways, moving along. So this was my first train that I built. It was built for taking bulk materials, like I said, water, diesel fuel, jet fuel. It was designed for taking these up to the Arctic or wherever they needed to go. There's no vents, as you can see. This was before vents came in. If you look inside, it's nothing but a tank. It's just an empty tank. It's got a drain in the floor. It's got a fill nozzle on the roof. It's got some monitors on it. This, of course, is a little motor, which the little motor drives the wheels of the train. And the reason I just put in a little motor is to just give a little tiny boost, tiny boost, to driving the train. I didn't want a huge boost. I didn't want to put big engines on all of these. But you see, in every one of these cars, there's a small motor, small electrical motor, just to give it that little extra nudge of forward throttle or reverse throttle, whatever the case may be. Because I needed to help the engine out. These things are heavy. These tanks are heavy. So I needed to help the engine out, and that's how I felt I could help the engine out, was to every single container had a little tiny motor that was, once again, it was controlled from the engine. The engine controlled it. It should come through on a composite, I believe. Yep, there's a composite controller. So the throttle control comes down here, into here, and it changes the composite to a number. You can see comp the number, and then that number should go out to the little motor. So it goes out to the little motor. And then your brake, you also had a brake controller here. You can see here, train brake control. So your brakes are also controlled from a control box. And I believe, like I said, I believe these were just, if it's connected, the brake's released. So it's getting its signal from this controller right here. This controller gets its signal from, yeah, am I connected? If I'm connected, then release that. And what's that, a backlight? Yeah, it's a backlight. So if I'm connected to a train, release the brakes. If I'm connected to a train, release the brakes. And turn on the systems. Turn on the, in this case, a backlight for the dial, or for the display. And then this one's going to be the same thing. All I did was copy and paste. So I made the diesel, or the jet fuel ones. I made the diesel ones. Basically, the only difference between them is the paint job, the paint scheme. They're all the same. And then, of course, they all have pumps. You pump in, and you can pump out. That's basically how they work. Oh, you can pump in. Sorry. Pump in on the top. And then the sides, you have, this is a pump out here. This connector here can be used to connect from there to there. So you can actually empty all at once instead of emptying, a little bit at a time, Because you can see the pump. The pump here is pumping towards that connector. So what you would do is, if you had like 4 or 5 of these jet fuel tankers, you connect this connector to that, and then you connect that connector to here, that connector to there, and all that, and then you turn on all these pumps, and it would drain all the tanks at once to one connector. So you can dump your entire load instead of having to pull like empty one, move forward a little bit, empty the next, move forward a little bit, empty the next. You can empty them all at the same time, and that worked out. Unfortunately, like I said, this stopped being the way things were done. There were changes, and this train went out the window. So then we moved on to container moving. And I actually think my first container mover is down. No. Oh, that's a fun one. That's actually I can't load it here. That's actually a visual a visual engine. Uh, it uses motors to make a visual representation of a huge engine, a huge functioning engine. So you remember the view of inside the Titanic during the Titanic movie, of how in the engine room when they switched to full reverse, you see the giant control arms and all that moving around, or the giant, not control arms, the giant. Oh, come on, brain, do the brain thing. You see the giant piston arms. Friggin' hell, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway, you see the engine. You see the mechanical movement of the engine, of it coming down and turning the shaft, and going back up with each piston thrust and retract. And for fuck's sakes, I'm a mechanic and I can't even remember these terms off the top of my head. Camshaft. You'd have your camshaft. You'd have your rod. Oh my god. So I basically made a visual representation of that for installing in large boats that were not powered by a large engine. And so I would have like, like this mini generator engine. I would actually have this running the boat, generating power for the boat, this mini generator. But I would have this visually displayed, and it would be controlled. It was actually controlled by the throttle of the boat. So if you moved your throttle up to 10%, this would move at 10% speed. If you moved your throttle up to 100%, this would move a lot faster. So you'd actually get a visual representation of the boat moving. Even though it did nothing, it did absolutely nothing, absolutely zero. It had nothing to do except show off moving pistons. That was it, or moving moving arms, moving rods. Oh my god! Come on, brain. Anyway, so moving right along. Let's get back to trains here. You can see I've done a lot of testing. I've done engine ECU testing, compact steam engine, 2-cycle engines. I do a lot of testing of different systems. There's my compact nuclear reactor, compact medium diesel generator. I do a lot of testing just to see what I can get working. Small reactor, jet engine generator. That actually, that showed me how horrible, absolutely horribly bad jet engines were on fuel, because it would drain that tank in no time, and it would put nothing back into the battery. I would be sitting there going, what the hell did I just waste all that fuel on? So that was my first and only jet engine attempt at doing a generator, because it was just the power input and the power output weren't even friggin' close. Weren't even close. You'd go through a tanker full of fuel just to charge that battery. It was ridiculous. But anyways, moving along. Then I got radar testing and all that stuff. I'm looking for my first container. Well, there's my diesel train engine. Okay. Here's my first cargo. So that's the nuclear. That's the engine. Cargo train engine with cart. I think these go together. This is just my nuclear reactor put in a train car. This was the cargo train. This was my first iteration of a cargo train. And I think back here was, this one was diesel powered. Okay. So I had the diesel generators, diesel engines, generating power, and putting it into the big batteries, which then powered this motor. So it was completely diesel powered. This should be the fuel tank. This down here is this is the fuel tank. So the fuel tank is underneath, and it can be refilled. There's a fill on the side. Oh, and this is my deck lower. This was actually the first deck lower design that I did. This was the first deck lower design that I did. And there's my little scooch car, which this was an interesting. This was the first time I came to the thought that I needed to take my container mover with me. I needed the vehicle that was moving the containers. I had to bring with me, and this was my first iteration of that. So let's spawn it in, and boom. So this is my first iteration of, wow. Oh, save lag. This is my first iteration of that thought. And I went with a subway design here. You can see I have the cab off to the side here, enclosed. I don't actually know if that works. I'm pretty sure it does. So again, I have the throttle, I have the reverse gear, brakes, lights. So we'll just move this out of the. We'll move this just out of the thing. Okay. I'm pretty sure I needed to do something before I actually moved it, and I did not. So that's probably my bad. I'm gonna probably find some things messed up here when I go out. Anyway, so oh yeah, you could go right to the deck on this one. Yeah, so there's a side door. There's side doors, so you can come right out. Yeah, I needed to. Yeah, I definitely did not do this right. Okay, because this all should have been. Yeah, this is definitely gone sideways now. Because that should be connected to that. That should be connected to that. Yeah, there's some definite issues now because I didn't do this right. Okay, let's get in our driver's seat here. Docking connectors on. Those should connect. Or did I get the wrong one? Did I connect wrong? Oh, I sure did. Look at that. I am connected sideways. Okay, pull me back. Connect right. Dang it! You were closer to the other one. Connect right. Oh, now I really screwed up. Nope, 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 nope. Oh god, this thing has too much power. Oh my gosh. I'm just trying to get it in the right spot here. Okay, connect. 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 Come on. There we go. Okay. Now we're connected. Okay, that's what I should have done there. I don't know. What was I supposed to do on the back, I wonder? That? Was I supposed to turn that on? Because this is all screwed up now too. That's supposed to be those are supposed to be connected to each other. And they are not. They are not even close now. Okay, you know what? Let's take this back to the workbench, spawn it again, and do this right. Okay, so before we go anywhere with this thing, I gotta figure out what I'm supposed to be doing here. Okay, do I have to turn this on? No. Do I have to turn this on? Okay, there we go. So I had to turn that on, and I have to turn this on. Two lights. There we go. Okay. So now this is ready to roll. Okay. Now this is ready to roll. So we close this door. We'll move ourselves back out. Generator start. Let's put our brake on a little bit here, and we'll do. We're not quite out yet. And Now we're clear. Okay. So now... Oops. Don't need a heater. The heater's for the Arctic. Okay, so now we have our car ready. We can come back here. There's also this back here. Oh, I didn't flip that up. I had to flip that up too. So we come back here. This is our generator room. You can see our generator is active. Well, the gearbox is active. So those are... Yeah. And pump for... Okay. Everything's ready to go. Alright. So that's all set up. Now our bed, which should be up. Okay. And this works. This works like the other one worked. So this is built off of the. This is built off the design of the large car that folded off. So if we go load unload, that'll swing him over, and he'll come down. Okay, and then I believe we have to turn the magnets off, like so, and take the rope off. But I'm pretty sure we need to apply the brakes first. Brakes. Okay, so now we take the rope off, right? Okay, and the rope gets stored. No, it already has a rope. Okay, well I guess we don't store the rope anywhere. We just keep the rope. Alright, so then we can bring that back up. We'll just hold on. Oh, there's the storage for the rope. Okay, so we store the rope there. Okay, so now we take this car and we go get ourselves... Oh, wait a minute. The back's got to be raised. How do you... Oh, don't do that. Raise? There we go. Okay, so raise up the back. Okay, boom forward, boom back. What boom? What boom? Is that the winch? I don't know what the boom is. It's the boom. I don't see anything moving. I don't see a damn thing moving. What is the boom? Is this the boom? No. I don't know what the boom is. Okay, anyway. I wonder if that's from a different... Raise arm, lower arm. What are these winch controls? Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm trying to remember how all this works. Alright, so parking brake off. And then we just go get ourselves a container. So this was a sled design. This was a sled design container mover. And it was actually a two-part unit, as I recall. Functioned kind of like a tow truck almost. So what you would do is you would come in the back here, and you'd find the container you want, and you come to here, put on your brake. Okay. And you would disconnect the rope from the back here. On both sides. Store your rope. Store your rope. Okay, and then you would press this button, which would disconnect the skis. Turn that on. Turn your skis around. And you would park your skis at the back of the container. Oh. And like so. So you pull it around to the back of the container, like kind of like so. And you flip that off. You tilt it up and it should grab. Or did they change the containers that you can't do that anymore? I wonder if they changed the containers. Maybe this doesn't work anymore. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. Okay, it grabbed. It just took it a weird amount of time. Okay. So then what you would do, you'd hop in your driver's seat, and you would drive around to the front of the container. And the steering on this thing is horrible. It's so slow to react. Okay, so once you drive around to the front, you want to lower your bar. Okay, and then drive in like this. There you go. Now you raise your bar again. And now you see you have a container up on skis. So now you would just drive it as if you were driving a very long vehicle. Your skis are going to slide. So you had to kind of watch it because your ass end would slide out from like sideways. And the biggest problem with this design was, well, you can kind of see the skis are kind of broken already. They're underground. But the absolute biggest problem with this design was this. The fact that your skis would get hung up on everything. Like absolutely frickin' everything. So, while it was a nice container mover, the fact that your skis would jam up on shit because of how glitchy the physics in this game are. Like you can see, the skis are stuck underground right now. And the only way to get them out from underground is to basically break them out from underground. It's kind of annoying. Oh, I got the one. I think I got the one. Maybe. No. You basically have to beat the shit out of them to get them back onto the surface. That's not the easiest thing to do. Oh, I got one. I got one to pop out. Come on. They are just such a pain in the ass. I got the one to pop out. The other one ain't. Doesn't want to pop out. It wants to be stuck under that ground. Come on. No, we're gonna flip it. But the skis are out. We flipped it, but the skis are out. Ah, ridiculous. Anyway. Whoops. As you can imagine, this is not the first or last time or any time that this happened. So we're gonna deactivate the locks. And we're gonna try to get the car flipped back over. Which I think I can do with... Yeah, I should be able to do it that way. This is why there's winches on this thing. Because shit goes sideways. That needs to be fixed. Alright, so now should be able to. Oh, the wheels aren't touching. Damn. I guess I should be able to roll it from there, but the wheels aren't touching the ground. Ah! Gimme. We get it to roll. Winch up. Gotta get it to flip itself. Come on, you, go up. Where's the... Oh, you're not going up. Oh, for crying out loud. That ain't gonna work. Come on, you. Blow it. That's as high as you're gonna go. You bastard. Oops. Come on, hit the edge and then flip it. Turn over! Oh, there it goes. It's starting. Well. Come on, you. Oh, well, that got her moving. Got her standing up further, though. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. That's what I was looking for. There we go. Now we got her. Okay, now I just gotta flip the container back over. That's gonna be easier said than done. Raise the bar. Raise the bar. Bar up. Okay. Actually, can I just knock it over? Probably not. Doesn't mean it wants to slide. It'll slide now, it'll move. Okay, let me see if I can get the sucker to turn back over. Well, I am going to do this. I'm going to try to... I'll grab onto the bottom and then I'll try to winch it over. So I'm going to back onto this side, this corner. Oh. Back myself onto this corner. Okay, lower the thing. Lower the arm and activate the lock. Perfect. Okay, now I need to winch it over on that pivot. So let's go to here. Attach that to this far winch. See if that'll flip it. Might end up flipping the car back over. But we'll see what happens. Oh, oh, container's moving. There we go, there we go, there we go. Keep it coming. Like a frickin' tow job. Look at that. Look at that. Ah! Oh, why? It should have just flipped. Why wouldn't you flip? Come on, buddy. I know you want to flip. I know you want to flip. Come on. You're like there. You are there. Why are you fighting it so badly? Bam! I have no idea why it was fighting against that flip so badly. Alright. Raise it back up. Now let's see if we can get this fucker into position. Because this, like I said, this was my first my first cargo mover that had its own vehicle that could go along with it. Well, I shouldn't really say that. The first one was the flat deck. The first one was the flat deck. And well, no, the first one was the arms, and then I went with the flat deck. This was the first all-in-one unit. And the all-in-one unit was actually a lot harder to develop than the unit that was by itself. Okay, so what had to happen here was I had to detach this, and I had to detach this. Then I move the car out of the way. Come on, move the car out of the way. Oh. Not use the spacebar for the brake on this one. Okay, so we have skis down on the back. We have that down on the front. Okay, so this one, I don't know if the deck actually worked on this one. Nope, see how it jams? That was the problem I had before. The deck would just jam. Oh, there we go. Eventually you'd get it, and then you'd have to keep it. Alright, so, magnets on. Load unload container, we'll bring it over. Hopefully it clears. Okay, it does clear, but it's a little outside the range, whatever. Lower bar. Why did I walk so far away from that? Why is the bar not lowering? Oh, shit. It's that button. Okay. Turn that on, turn that off. There we go. But again, you see the issue that happens here? That robotic pivot is way overloaded. And that's probably part of the reason why the deck had to come down. It hangs to the point where it's not even connected anymore. So then we lift the container on, and you can see how it doesn't really, because that is so screwed up, it doesn't really lift it on. It kind of half-asses the job. See how it gets stuck. Because it bounces free from the. That's not strong enough. It's not a strong enough connector to hold in place. So when the container goes up, the container just kind of slams into the deck and doesn't really settle in. So then we have to raise the deck back up, and we are good to go. That's loaded. So now what has to happen is this needs to be flipped off. You have to hop in the car. And once again, parking brakes off. Keep forgetting the parking brakes is 1 instead of spacebar. So now we come back to here. Hook up our activate locks. Need to turn off my docking port now. Okay, so once those are active, we have to put all this back together again now. And this was part of the problem too, because every time you grabbed a container, you had to do this. Because you'd have to bring everything back over to the container. So you couldn't just leave this. Well, I guess you could leave this sitting on the back like that, but the winches were there so that this would be brought up and tight and stay just like that. That's why the winches are there. So then you hop in the driver's seat and hop in the driver's seat, and you would press 1, and you would drive over to your loading station. Again, horrible steering. Steering on this thing is absolutely atrocious. But it got the job done. I mean, I did a lot of loads with this vehicle. So even though it's not my best vehicle, at one point in time, it was a good vehicle. So we hook this rope up to the connector on top here. Oh wait, no, this connector here. There. So we hook that rope up to there, and then we turn on our docking magnets. We don't have the docking magnets on, so we turn on the docking magnets. And they're not just going to jump together because they're too far apart. So we have to then winch up. I believe those are already turned on. So we have to winch the cart. We actually have to winch the cart off the ground. Why are you not winching up? Why are you not lifting off the ground? I mean, okay, I had the parking brakes on, but still, you should be lifting off the ground. Really? I think they nerfed the friggin' the winch. I think they nerfed the winch. They can't lift the car anymore. The winch is supposed to lift the car up to the dock ports, but it does not have the strength to do that. Well, shit. Well, let's see what happens if I hit load cart. Yeah, it does not have the strength to lift that up. Wow. Okay. Well, this build doesn't even work anymore because you can't get the connectors together. That's very surprising. And I don't think it's because these are off. Shit. Let's see if I can bounce it up far enough. Not even. Well, that's a little disappointing. This design doesn't even work anymore. Huh. Okay. Because of what they did. They made changes. Not that I would use this design anymore anyways, because this deck, this raising and lowering the deck is far outdated. I don't use the laser guides anymore. See, the laser guides will tell you where to park the container. I don't use laser guides anymore. So yeah, that's a little disappointing. Anyway, so that was my first all-in-one vehicle that I used. It was a train and a cargo container all in one. This was basically my proof of concept that I could have a train that could carry the unit plus a cargo container all in one unit, and do it with diesel power. So this was kind of like a challenge that I set for myself. Then once I got this figured out, and this is the shape that I'm talking about right here, this design right here, you're gonna see all my cargo vehicles pretty much use this same design. Maybe a little bit of adjustment here and there. Maybe it's not shaped just exactly that, but most of them you'll see that design. So next, I thought back to once I finished with this, I thought back to my first iteration, which was, or my first idea, which was build a train. Like, don't just build this. Build a whole train. So my next phase after this was to take this design here and turn this into a rail car itself, and to double it up, to make two of these on one rail cart. I don't know if I still have that design. This was the nuclear train. Just to quickly look at that, all it is a nuclear reactor with 4 generators. That's all it is, and on-off button on the front. That's all it is. It is just a nuke reactor train car. Moving right along. I wonder if I still have that I think I redesigned that one. I don't think I think I saved over it. I don't think I have I don't think I still have that one because it didn't work at all. Oh, I made some coal train cars for or for loose freight, I call it loose freight train cars. But it's for basically coal and metal. They're nothing special. All they do is they take it in the top and they have ports out the bottom for dumping. Where is my other? Oh, and this was the loader. That's the loader for it. So this is the freight. This is the loose train car, and this is the car loader. The car loader basically just hooks up to the front of the car, and you load it in the side. So you would like dump your whatever against the side of this. It would go into the hoppers, and it would lift it up into and eject it out the top into the train car. So this whole unit, like you can see the separation here. See how it's multiple units. This unit moves up and down for traveling, of course. So you can see it's up in the air now. So you'd attach your coal car to the back here, or whatever, and then you would you'd hit the button to bring the loader down. You'd pour your dump your cargo here, dump your load, and then it would go into the hoppers, be brought up, and be ejected out the top. That's basically all it is. That's the whole unit. That's the whole purpose of it, was to load the train cars. That's it. This is a mini shunt. This is a train engine. It's got a little motor in the front. Actually, I shouldn't say little motor. It's kind of a bigger motor. You can do a gearbox. See the gearbox there. I forget what it used for. Oh, it was a glitch. Yeah. There's a glitch generator built into it. And there's the controls. Reverse, brake, throttle, lights. That's all. That's all she needed. But yeah, I built this little guy just to shunt train cars around for when I was building large consts. When I was building a large constant, I would use this. So I would have this guy. I would run him down the rail. I don't do that anymore, but I would spawn him. I would move him out a little bit. So I'd move him to like there, and then I would spawn I'd spawn the first train car, I should say the last train car. I would spawn like the caboose first, and then I would pull it out, back it down the side, and then I would come back. I would spawn the next car from the back, the next car from the back. I would take it out, back it down, spawn the next car, take it out, back it down, and I would build a whole train constant from that. Using that little shunter. Using this little shunter. But then I realized that it's just easier to start at the front of the train, move it forward, spawn the next car, connect, pull it out, spawn the next car, connect, pull it out. I found that was a lot easier doing it that way. So this little guy got a tiny bit of use, but not as much use as I was planning to give him. And then we started getting into, I think we're getting up to where we want to be today. Yeah, we're getting up to where we want to be today. Okay, so my next design had to do with just taking a container with me. That was my next goal, was to take containers. Just bring them along. So I built a series, and that series involved this cart here, which is my drive unit. So it involved this cart here, which could carry a container. It had some supplies in the back. And then with this cart, I of course improved this model. This is I came back to this model, which is the first one I showed you. This was actually my first model. Then I improved it. Like after all those other iterations, I improved it, and then I came back to this model. for this go round. So I had that train on the front that could carry one cargo cargo container. I had this, which could carry the car, and then I had made, where's the other one? I had made these for just straight up cargo carrying. And these have gone through a lot of iterations too. These aren't the first design. The first design I had was the same design that I had on the train I just showed you, where it flipped out, like it rolled on off the edge, flipped out, and did the pickup that way. And then it would flip back in. The whole side of the train would come down, like the side of the train would be lowered, so it could pick up the container and roll it in, kind of do that side flip roll, which needed the side of the train car to lower. Then I eventually modified that design to a slide out design. So it takes an assembly and it slides it out the side, and I had two of those. Those were glitchy. They would often get stuck, and still do. Then I decided to go with a full assembly. So this is all one. You can see this is all one assembly, even though there's two separate carriers. It's all one assembly that moves on a track in and out, and that would also get jammed. So then I went with the full assembly along with winch support. And it's hard to see, but you can see the winches in the middle here. There's winch support in there. And that winch support helps pull it out and pull it back in. So it's not just it's not just the track motors that are trying to move it. And I find with that winch support, even if it jams, that winch support is enough that all I need to do is a quick reverse and then forward again, and it seems like it will unjam. So I'll spawn the whole train in, but I'm going to show you this car specifically to start off. So what happens is, Susan Fish is saving. What happens is these winches are set to go to a specified length when toggled. So when I toggle the loading bed to come out, this winch here is set to winch in as much as it can, and that other winch on the other side is set to winch out to a certain number. Not all the way, just to a certain number. I think it's like 3.5 or something like that. So you can see when I go out, you can hear the winches moving. And the winch that goes out is faster than the winch that goes in. So you can see the line kind of goes like that a little bit. So they come out to the side like this. You'll have your containers already here, or you'll bring your containers in. And then what happens is you have the bar, which you lower, grab your container, and then you raise it up. And I have it set so that the up is on a toggle, because you can go like this. The down is the override. So the down goes first, but then the up. As soon as you let go of the down, it goes up. And then you have your magnets here, your connectors. Now the connectors, as well as the up and down, this whole control panel is duplicated down at the other end for the other container. However, these loading bed in and out are linked. So when you press one, they all go. Then I think it might have got jammed already. So I just do a quick flip back and forth. Yeah, you can see how it's jamming up. Oh, I actually got it past. So before I put the winches in, it would not get past the jam. The jam would be where it would stop. But because there's that little extra tension from the winch, I find that it's often enough to pop it past its sticky point. There it goes. But that sticky point is, of course, that's the physics of friggin' Stormworks. There's nothing I can do about it. It shouldn't happen, because there's nothing for it to actually get stuck on. What's happening is it's getting stuck in itself. So, like these these sliders are getting stuck inside themselves, and it's just it's a pain in the ass. You just have to kind of deal with it. And I found that adding the winch tension really helps with that problem. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load a whole constant. I'm going to load the engine. I'm going to load the loader, the cars. Actually, I have one more thing to show you before I do that. So my final iteration of this whole vehicle loading, because if you look at the vehicle car, if you look at this, it's unruly. It's large. It's like it's got a high roof on it. It's just it doesn't look good. It's very bulky for no reason. And I don't like how these hang out. What would often happen is if I was going around a corner too fast, this would swing into that or something over here, and I would suffer damage. Like these arms for the pickup, and yeah, and you can see the shape again of what I was talking about. But these arms would just haphazardly bash into the deck, or it would bash into. That's why I put these friction pads here. It would bash into the deck, or it would hit the sidewall, which used to come all the way out, but I had to trim it back because it would damage. And so I'd get damage to this machine just driving, just transporting it. So I had to come up with another idea, and this design, by its very nature, I found it to be flawed because it doesn't steer very well. It's unruly. It's heavy, very heavy. It's an extremely heavy unit, and heavy only on the one side. And it tips. I had to put in, I had to build in the flip over system to right itself, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. So I had to come up with another design. I wanted to stick with this similar thought, but I had to come up with another design. So after a few trial and errors, I finally came up with this design here. And you can actually see, if I go back and load, you can actually see the forklift design came first, and it was just an open cab, nothing to like. It was just, you can see it's a glitch machine as well. It's got the glitch generator there, but it's an open cab, nothing special, mock-up design. And then I went through a few more iterations. I built a train car around it, and I ended up with this design, which is very similar to the other vehicle, as far as the deck lifts, the deck raises and lowers and all that. But it's a much sleeker profile. It looks nicer, and it's basically minimal. It's the size it needs to be, and nothing more. So I'll spawn this in, and I also decided to get rid of the tires and go with tracks, because tracks are a lot more stable than tires. So I went back to the track design that I had worked on earlier. You can see it still locks in. It still locks into the trailer. The trailer deck still raises. It's a nice smooth raise and lower. And the actual design of the loader itself, I find to be much better. I went with winch designs. I have winches to assist. I come to the realization that winches are actually a very good assistant when you are using things like you can see on the bottom here, the rotors. Remember how the rotors don't have very good power? They like to screw up. I found that using winches for support assistance, or to transfer load, I should say, actually helps with that dramatically. So let's just move our. You can see we just turn. We just rotate our little vehicle out of there, and then we come over to our container box. And this is what I actually developed that system for, where the winch has two different positions that are toggled. So that toggled one position, which is where it's at now, and then the winches, they toggle another position when they go up. And that's the same with the front and back. Because the containers are so heavy, I wanted winch assistant to give me a little bit of a tilt. So you can see how the winch pulls it into a tilt, and pulls it back from a tilt. But there's also down here, this hinge down here at the bottom is also powered. So the hinge down here at the bottom gets help from the winches. The winches aren't the primary control. The winches are assistants. So we'll move our way around here to this box. And this thing turns on a dime. I have this. I redid my train, or my tank control, so that it actually turns on a dime now, instead of having to go forward and and one goes faster than the other. I now have them actually going forward and reverse, so they do actually run like a tank does now. From the inside, you can see we have a lot of clearance. You might notice some similarities of this cab as far as the view goes. I wanted to keep as much view as possible. She's taking her freaking sweet time going up. Oh, I didn't want to grab. Why are those turned on? They shouldn't be on. I wasn't watching my display here. I'm also getting much better with displays. So you can see it. You come up to the container and just watch. Okay. Activate our magnets, bring it down. You'll see them hook in. Actually, don't activate the magnets yet. Wait until they're down. Wait until they're down. Now we activate them. Okay, so we got a grab. And you notice when I grab, you notice what happens here is this camera comes on, or this display comes on. And you can see what's happening here too. This is why I need help, or this is why that down there, that what do you call it? Rotor, not rotor. Oh, what the hell's it called? The tilt. That's why the tilt needs help, because the tilt itself isn't strong enough. But you see, once I have the winches on, I can tilt her back without any problems. So I get a full tilt back, no problem whatsoever, and I get a full lift, no problem whatsoever. You can see it's trying to bend them down, but the winches are holding it in place. They can't bend it down because the winches are in place. Now, as I was saying with the camera, if you look right now, I can't see a damn thing of what's in front of me. But if I look down here, you'll notice I can see perfectly in front of me. The reason for that is because I put a camera down at the bottom that looks underneath, and I also put a couple of headlights down there too, that looks underneath the container. So I can see what's going on ahead of me under the container, which will let me line up and drive. I can just drive by this camera. I mean, I can still look to the left, I can still look to the right, but I can drive by this camera. This camera can show me, exactly where I'm at, and watch the edges of the building, come back to the camera, and I can pretty much drive this container wherever I want it to go. Just from underneath here. And if I turn the headlights on, you see the headlights shine underneath, as well as into. So the upper headlights shine into, the lower headlights shine underneath. But you can see now I have full control of this cargo container. It's stable. I'm driving it along. Completely stable. All the weight is held. I can bounce it, I can whatever. Even if I slam on the brakes, she's not going anywhere. So it's a very, very stable platform. The only problem is the height. It is a very tall platform because of the winch ropes. But it is a very stable platform. And again, it folds up into a train car, a small train car. So no matter what, I can just bring these cargo containers, swing around with them, do whatever. I don't really have to worry. Um, Although you don't want to get too cocky, but in the same note, like I said, the platform is extremely stable. Uh, it bounces back and forth a little bit, sways a little bit, but other than that, I mean, you don't necessarily want that movement to be transferring to your vehicle, anyways. So having the freedom for it to bounce around and sway a little bit is kind of nice. So we'll lower it back down. Actually, we'll bring it back down, and we'll hit our number 2 at the same time to bring it out. Okay. Container magnets off. Raise it back up. Bring us out. Back down. Fold the forks. We are out. You can see how the display turns off automatically. You can see I have the docking connector. That's my rear connector. So that shows me when I'm ready to dock. When I have my connectors on for docking at the back. I have my forklift magnets, so I can tell when they're on or when they're off. And I have my parking brake, so I can tell when it's on or when it's off. I also have brake lights for when the parking brake's on. I don't have brake brakes on this thing because I don't really need them. If I press down, it goes into reverse, which is just as good as brakes. So you can see it, my reverse lights come on, meaning that I'm into the negative. So, and then I'm back to drive. So the brakes, the braking, or I should say, going into reverse, is just as good as braking with this thing. So then we'll bring her back into the warehouse. And this is the reason why I built these to fold. I wanted to be able to fit neatly through here without having to. I wanted to be able to get into confined areas when the fork was folded up. I didn't want to be basically stuck. I didn't want to get stuck into places like my other vehicle like this would not be able to maneuver around in this building. It would be impossible for it. So we'll turn on our docking connectors. We'll just kind of bring it in like this, and a little like this. And what'll happen is the docking connector will grab eventually here. Whoops, came in too fast. The docking connector will grab, and then they'll both connect. And then once they're both connected, she's locked into position. She ain't going anywhere. And just to comment on how glitchy some of this stuff is, this door will sometimes actually get stuck and it won't open. It'll jam. It's not going to happen right now, of course, because I just said it would jam, and it's not going to jam, but it will sometimes jam, and you can't get in and out. But that seems to only happen when the power of the vehicle is a little down, like maybe 80%. So then you raise up the deck. You can see the deck goes up quite a bit. You got some great clearance underneath. Lots of clearance underneath. And then you're good to go. And again, this is the new knuckle design, which has the electric cable at the bottom, as well as the 2 plugs on the side like before, but I moved the green light up top. I also lowered down the connector because if I was to load up the old train that had the 3-point, the T-shaped connector, the connector is actually higher on that, which is why I can't use them. I can't use them together. I can't use my black train. I cannot use with my white and blue train because the connectors are at different heights. But anyway, so let's get this started. Let's actually get to driving a little bit now that we're at the 3-hour mark. Like, time is just flying. So let's get to actually doing some train stuff. So this is This is my train engine. It's gone through a lot of iterations too. It started out as just a straight up subway train design, and it has actually, this train was cloned from this train. It started out as this train, and then I basically I took this train and I molded it kind of haphazardly uh, into this train because I wanted to be able to. I wanted to not only, and you can kind of tell from the shape here. I didn't really mold like change this shape much here. I just I put a nose on it. I cleaned up underneath. I put a staircase. I put a cabin. You know, I wanted to make it so that I would be comfortable in this train for a long period of time. Um, so I'll take you, and of course it is a glitch train. Of course, I have the glitch drive in here, and it's the upgraded glitch drive with the boosting booster system and everything. So let's instead of walking you around this train here, let's just take you in so I can show you the train. Whoops, spawn. All right, so here's the engine. Give it a second. Okay, so here's the engine. Not really much to it there. The staircase, of course, raises because there are obstacles everywhere. So the staircase raises so you can get in. At the back, there's a little utility section. You can also ride out here. If somebody wanted to ride out here, they could ride out here. I don't know why they would want to ride out here, but I do have, you know, welding torches for repairs. I got some med supplies, rope, and of course fire extinguishers. On the back, you know, anything you might need to grab quickly is there. I also have a player sensor. You can see that there, which toggles the light. So when a player gets close, it lights up the back, and when a player is away from it, it goes out. So up the stairs, we get into the cab, and the stair control is doubled in here, so you can raise the stairs from inside. In here we have a small med bay, just a one-person med bay, defibrillators, med kits, you know. Heaters are automatically controlled, the temperature up here. If it goes below, I believe it's 20 degrees, the heater kicks on. So right now we're at 20.24. And I do have heaters throughout the train. So you can see a heater here, it's controlled by here. Cold weather gear, because this is a train that I do take up to the Arctic, so I do have cold weather gear, and that's also why the heaters are in here. I have a utility room inside. The utility room has some flares, it has a underwater welding torch, as well as 2 more welding torches, 2 more fire extinguishers. It's got a pistol, it's got a rifle, as well as a fishing rod, just in case. And then, whoops, didn't mean to grab the rod. And then in the back here, we have a bed, as well as a little table for hanging out. Again, everything's temperature controlled. Heaters are temperature controlled. Keep it at a nice 20. And then, of course, if you just want a night light, you got a little night light here for nighttime. And that's the back. So then into the front is the power section. Again, we have a temperature controlled area up here, keeps it at a nice 20 degrees. Player sensor for the light. We have our regular train controls. We have the throttle, we have the reverse gear. It tells me when the brakes are on. The brakes are actually throttle controlled on this one. The throttle has to go above, I believe it's 5. So I think if your throttle goes to 6, then the brakes come off. If the throttle is below 6, then the brakes are on. So the brakes are tied in with the throttle, and there's an indicator here to show when the brakes are actually on. You got your speed, you got your reverse gear, and that's it. Down here we have an access port, which takes us to our glitch generator, so we can reset it. It can be reset from here. So you can turn it on, off, you can reset it, and there's the jump start connector is back there. So if I need jump started, I can jump start it from there. So there we go, and the battery bank, of course, which is the main battery bank for the train. In the seat, we got forward headlights, triple setup, so 3 forward headlights, and that's basically it. That's all there is to it. So let's move her out. You can see we're at 3, 7, and clear. I didn't put a back camera on this one, and I kind of wish I did. But that's, you know, I'm still tinkering with this. This is a final product, but it's not a completely final product. So we have our engine. Now behind the engine, I hope that's out far enough. Behind the engine, we will attach our loader, our cargo loader. We'll spawn that guy in. It always spawns in not connected, which is why it has that bounce when it spawns in. So we will push this guy because I don't believe it has brakes, or does it have brakes? Do you have brakes? You have brakes. Dang you. Alright, well, since you have brakes, and I didn't put a brake override on this one. Ah ha ha ha! Alright, let's pull them together. Mental note, put a brake override on it. Oh, I slammed them together. The knuckles grabbed though. That's good. Okay. So forward. We'll bring it out. Okay, we're going to want to go a little ways here. Not too terribly far, but a little ways. Okay. Perfect. So now we can assemble most of the rest of the cons without moving that guy again. Well, actually, I think we might have to move him further out, actually. Tell you the truth. We'd have to go further out. So, let's load. We're going to load our cargo train for our containers. So we will... Oh, I also forgot to mention, see the electrical connectors on the front? These are battery boxes. See the batteries are in the front here? I believe on the back I have just another battery or two, or maybe just one battery, because I like to link batteries to batteries. I don't like to link the front to the back, like the connectors. I don't like to link the front connectors to the back. I like it to go from the front connectors to a battery, shoot from battery to battery, and then from the battery to the connectors. Just to make sure there's a actual wiring system between the connectors on both ends. So everything connects to the batteries and not to the connectors. If I go into logic and look at the power, you can see the connector here. There's a few things that are connected to it, which are directly related to the connector. Other than that, it comes straight from the battery. And then that battery is connected via, multiple systems out to the front set of batteries. So like I have this line here, which goes from here out to here and into the batteries. I have this line here, which goes from here out to these, and then to the batteries. I have this line here, which goes up to the top, and then around to the batteries, and it comes around this way too to the batteries, because I've learned if you have part of your system gets damaged, so say this winch gets damaged, and that was my only path from the back battery to the front battery. my entire car would be severed. It wouldn't function, and the back of my train would be losing power. So I like to make sure there's multiple pathways through the vehicle, and that those pathways end at a battery set at the front and a battery set at the back. That's just the way I set it up. So anyway, let's spawn this guy in. Okay. And this guy actually has a battery override. Or I should say a brake override. Right here. So I flip that switch and you can start to see the tires turning. So we'll get them up to speed here just by pushing. And we'll roll them right out of the shed. Send him on his merry way. Oh shit. That connected already? Oh god. There's no way I'm going to get another couple of... Oh, yeah. See, this sometimes happens here. You see how those connected really badly? That will sometimes happen. Especially if you connect at speed. So, what we'll do is we'll move this very slowly forward. What you want to do is make sure they're both facing the same direction. So, right now they are, because they'll kind of roll into each other. Ah, it did it again. Come on, roll into it. Ah, what are you doing? Come on. It's doing it again. Come on. Stop that shit. You stay over here. You stay over there. And you're supposed to roll into each other. I don't know why you're being a pain in the ass. You're supposed to roll into each other. You both turn at the same time. There you go. And you fucking connect backwards. What is going on with this thing? It is being a... I never have this much trouble hooking up a couple of trains. Never. Okay, you face this way. Come on. Turn and face this way. Okay. I ain't gonna turn you on until the last fucking minute. See if that gets you going. See if that gets you connected up. There you go. See, now they roll into each other. There you go. And the green light shows that the bottom is connected. So we have an electrical connection. I will flip this back off. And I gotta move ahead. Because there's only enough room there for one more car. And that ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it at all. Let's maybe bring it right up to the merge almost. That should be good. Maybe. Alright. So we'll come out here. Yeah, that's gonna be enough. That'll be enough space. I don't want a whole lot of cars. I just want maybe another two container cars. And then my special tool on the end. Maybe two of them. I don't know. One or two of them. I'll show you that once I get to it too. I have not revealed that one to you yet. So these guys, you just spawn in as many of these guys as you think you're going to need. Now, one thing I haven't done yet, which I really, really need to do, and I'm not going to do it on this video because we're already, 3:15. But the one thing that I really, really need to do is set up a remote toggle for switches. Specifically the train switches. So you know how when you're when you're coming along and you're coming up to one of those switches, they actually, if you look closely, I don't know if you can see it, there's a little antenna on the top there. And that little antenna means those can be radio triggered. I don't know what the frequency is. I would have to probably hit the Wikipedia or whatever for Stormworks to find out what their signal frequency is and how to trigger them. But if you can figure that out, then you never have to leave your train to go flip a switch. You just click your button and the switch flips. I'm not exactly sure how that would work in certain situations, because I know sometimes when you come up to a switch, there's another switch right after it. So, and if you trigger both of those switches, you might send one car going one way and another car going another way, or I really don't know how that works. Depending on how long your train is, you know, you could inadvertently, when you're trying to switch the switch ahead of you, you could inadvertently switch a switch behind you that your train is still crossing. So, yeah, I don't know how exactly that works. Maybe it only works directionally. Maybe it only works on... Maybe if you use a dish, you can trigger the one ahead of you instead of... Like, you can focus on the one ahead of you. Okay, yeah, this should be good enough. I'm going to do this the same way I did the other one. I'm going to turn it off until we actually get it close. Just because they're acting kind of weird. They don't normally wig out like that. They normally just roll into each other and connect. And when I say roll, I mean these. It starts on that side and then it hops to the other side. So you'll see it happen like right here. See how it grabbed like that, and then it'll roll together. There. That's normally how they go together. They don't normally do the funky chicken like that first one did. Oh, this guy's okay. Let's turn off our brakes now. That guy's okay. It went together okay. All right, so we got our carriers now. Now we just need the little surprise. Now, one thing I didn't show you in my engine is that it's got there's an antenna hidden in that train engine, and it is keyed to operate these little guys. Now, these little guys are basically drone engines, kind of. It's got a motor, it's got a generator. There's the generator, and there's the motor behind it. Oh, let me go to this side. So there's battery, you got your motor, you got your generator behind it, and then you have a couple of control boxes and a radio antenna. So what this guy is it gets a signal on a specific frequency, and it reads that signal to determine what it needs to do. So it grabs the signal, right? It doesn't send any signals. It grabs the signal, puts it into this processor box, and then this processor box processes that signal and figures out like what the hell am I supposed to be doing here. So then it'll take that and it'll control everything from the, well, it's pre-programmed radio frequency, but it'll control everything from the brakes to the throttle, and it'll run the generator. It'll monitor battery power, and of course it's activated by a switch on the side of the machine. So you turn the switch on, and all of a sudden it is RC controlled. And the RC for this is actually built into the engine. So whatever your engine controls are at, when this little guy is turned on, oh, get done your saving leg. Whenever this guy's turned on, it does whatever the engine does at the front of the train does. I got the knuckle detach buttons, so I can detach the back knuckle or the front knuckle. I have the generator breaker, so I can fix the glitch generator if I have to. Underneath, you see I have the jumper port built in. There's the jump start port. Should anything happen with the generator, and I can see the generator output on the side here. And of course, if the battery for any reason starts to go low, because I'm not paying attention, this light will blink. So I'm not going to turn on the radio control back here. I'm going to roll it, because as soon as I turn on the radio control, the brakes lock up, because the front part of the train currently has its brakes on. So if I turn this on, brakes. Because it does whatever the front of the train does, or whatever the train engine does, and right now the train engine has its brakes on. So this little guy gives me a boost of power, and basically the more of these guys I put on, the more power boost I get. So I usually run with 2 of these guys on the back when I'm running 6 containers. Just because, mostly weight reasons. A train you can only get up to about 30% power before it decides it's going to wheel slip like crazy. So with that 30%, that basically determines your max speed. So let's see if these guys roll together proper. Nope. Completely cockeyed. There they go. And link. There it is. I also put in electrical connectors here and here in case something happens to this connector down here. I can use this cable here to bypass directly and go like that, in case anything happens. I can also use this to hook up to here and have it either boost itself, or I can boost it off of another train car. You know, whatever needs to happen to get the generator back up and running again. So since this is connected, I'm now gonna fire it up. It has, you notice it has a light on the front and a light on the back. And we'll get our last one. Yep. Yeah, that was good. That was good. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's load him back in. Let's load another one. Small. Okay, and we will roll him into position as well. I was half tempted to turn him on and just have him drive into the back, because this guy would definitely go faster than this guy by himself would definitely go faster than the full train. So he would definitely catch up and connect. The only thing is, I might want to grab a container from this place, so I don't necessarily want to go shooting down the track. I think my problem here is I'm bringing these guys together too quickly. That's why that's why the connectors are having a conniption. They don't have a chance to settle down, because they start magnetizing. When they get close, they start magnetizing, and you see that happen. They'll start winging back and forth. There you go. They'll start winging back and forth. Beauty. We're all hooked up. We got a full train constant here. So, where do we want to go? Let's see if we can find a container and take it somewhere. Maybe pick up a couple more along the way. So how about we started at... So I know there's a container thing here. I want wonder if we can find anything for... No, I don't want to travel there. I wonder if we can find anything for Sawyer North, because this is Sawyer North, is it not? Oh no, this is North Harbor. Where's Sawyer North? What's this? Okay, that's Sawyer South. I thought this was Sawyer North. Oh, it is Sawyer North. Okay, let's see if we can find anything for Sawyer North. Because that's not that far away, but it's far enough. So let's see if we can go find some containers for Sawyer North. Or South. Sawyer North or South. I could drive them in with this, because the train doesn't go directly to South, but I could always drive them in with this guy. Alright. Close the door. Close the door. Come on. And detach. So we want Sawyer. North or south doesn't really matter. We can go to both. Alright. You can see my performance is starting to take a hit with all these train parts out here. What are we at now? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at the physics. Physics is just going crazy. It's like, hey, I'm here. Our physics is burning it up. Alright, so we want Sawyer, north or south, doesn't really matter. Now let's get our loader ready here. Our arms ready, I should say. There's a fair amount of containers here, so luck should be on our side. We should be able to find one, hopefully two. So now the way I do this, and I mean everybody has their own way of doing this, is I will come out here now and check all of these containers. I have to actually shut this one off because that one's for Sawyer North. Let's turn her back on. Alright, so we got a Sawyer North there. What do we have here? Iran, BVG, Sawyer South, okay. Remember that one. We'll remember that one. Sawyer North, okay. We have a Sawyer North. We have two Sawyer Norths and a South. What are you? What do we got for you here? You are Iran. You are Commodio Freight. And BVG. Okay, so we got two Norths and a South. I'm good with that. We'll load them up strategically on the train. We'll put the Souths to the back. We'll put the Norths to the front. So we got a Sawyer. This is a North, right? Okay, that's a North, and I think the green one's a North, and the other blue one's a South. Oh wait, no. North. Oh wait, North. Okay, North, South, North. Because this one's keyed on, so this must be another North. Yeah, North. Okay, so we got two Norths, we got a blue and a green, and we got a South over there. Okay, so blue, green, blue. Let's get her done. We'll grab this blue one, then we'll grab the green one, and then we'll come back for the blue one. Because we got a North, North, and a South. Bring her straight in. Alright. And container magnets off. Bring her down. I don't want the magnets on until I get there because they will snap into position and it'll tear the arms one direction and another direction. That's no good. Wait until it's almost all the way down and then you turn it on. they grab. You do press 2 as your lift. And away we go. She is up. Alright, brakes off. And here we are. Swing here and head up the hill. This one was a north, right? Yeah, this was a north. Plenty of clearance. Plenty of clearance on both sides here. Alright, so north we're going to put on the front. Oh, actually, you know what? I probably could have gone through... Probably should have gone through the back there. Let's just swing our way through the back here so we're not going around the whole front of the train. That's some forward momentum. Should be enough room out here past this back car. I would think. I would think. Scooch our way through here. Good, good, good. I'm not going to do all this driving from inside. Okay, so we'll come up to the first train set, which will be our north set. And we'll just kind of swing her in here. Best thing about the tracks is they don't get stuck on the... I should say the best thing about the treads is they don't get stuck on the damn tracks. So we're just going to bring this guy right in here. Nicely lined up. Parking brakes on. And we'll drop him here. We go. Alright, that's one. We got our other two containers here. And again, you can tell the physics engine's having trouble. I shouldn't say having trouble, but it's definitely not playing the way it was. Trouble's not the word. Maybe it's just having a conniption. It's not a fan of all this stuff happening. Radio signals transmitting all at once, and video displays popping up. And it's like, I just want a burrito. Alright, so the next one's the green one, and it's going right beside that blue one. And then the other blue one can go at the back. Alright, Lee. Let's get you lined up. I like these containers because they have a line straight down the middle that I can line up with this with these forks. There we go. That's two. That's two on the hook. So yeah, this machine is by far the best cargo container carrier that I've built so far. I mean, I could probably build a giant beast that would just throw the containers around no problem. But like I said, it wouldn't be something that I could travel with the train. I wouldn't be able to carry it with the train and bring it along to do the unloading aspect of the job. So, you know, this system works absolutely great. And for those who watched my last, well, I shouldn't say my last Stormworks video. I guess my second last Stormworks video, where I was working on the was it a diesel generator? I will be putting that in a build. I just haven't decided what build yet. It's going to be a boat. It's probably going to be a big boat. But I have not 100% decided what I'm going to put it in yet. I do have a sailboat that I'm working on that I'm having some issues with. And the hull for that sailboat might make a nice hull for that diesel motor. So I'll have to take a look and see what I come up with. Like I said, the sailboat's not going that well. I'm finding the sail physics to be very wonky as far as what you would expect to happen and what actually happens. Yeah, it's a little wonky. I tried making a 3-mast ship, which, you know, I wouldn't think it would be that difficult. In fact, it's not that difficult to develop that kind of ship. But in the game, it is very difficult. Like trimming the mast doesn't work right. Trying to use winches. The winches don't either have the strength or the power. The sails don't want to stay at full open. They'll slowly move back to being only half open or something along those lines. It's just there's so much wrong with the current physics of the game that when it tries to incorporate it, if that's the right word, when it tries to incorporate the physics of, you know, wind, it does such a horrible job. Such a horrible job. I mean, I am glad they've given us wind power. I'm very glad they've given us wind power. But the way that it works, you definitely have to kind of go with go with what works instead of what should work. You have to learn how the physics works, how the game physics works, in order to make the sales work. You can't just take your knowledge of sales and voila, away you go. Oh, we're gonna get sticky bed here. Come on, sticky bed. What's your problem? You know, you weren't this bad. You weren't this bad before. What's your problem? You got a stuck container, or what's good? What's going on here? Oh, that caused a hop. What's going on here? Something's sticking. That's what I mean when I talk about the glitchy physics. There shouldn't be anything holding these from going in, but you can see that there is. And you can see even those jamming up now. Come on. I don't know what it's getting jammed up on. Give her a little vibration. Give her a little vibe as she's going in and see if that jogs it. Nope. Huh. Bet you if I dropped one of these containers it would actually go in. There's something it's not happy with. What are you not happy with? It's not that container. Not that container. It's not happy with one of these. But this is what I mean, though, about things being glitchy. Still a jam there for some reason. How are you getting jammed on? I almost wonder if I should make these anchors up here so it pulls it from the top, because I don't know what's... This is getting stuck like on the edge here? I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. Because it's like it jams up on itself. Like I said before, there shouldn't be any reason for it to be jamming up. Because there's these here which grab from the side to keep the side stable, and there's these here which grab from the bottom to keep the bottom stable. And this whole unit is one unit. So it should just move in and out nice. But it does not. It does not want to go. I don't know if thumping it is going to help, or... And this container is not fully all the way up. It's having an issue too, look at that. Why are you dropping? What is going on here? You got full power. Why are you dropping? You're not going up. Okay, now it's gone up. Weird. Alright, let's give it a bump. See if we can knock it in. See if we can nudge it. Give it a nudge. Boom. No, sir. She does not want to go. She does not want to go at all. I wonder what if I lift from the bottom. If I put my forks under and give her a gentle lift. Need faster forks. Alright, let's pull her under. This. Brakes on. And lift. Oh, sir. Even with all that lifting power, she does not want to move. That is insane. That is insane. There's no reason why that should be jammed up that bad. No reason at all. Alright, let's do a complete drop. Do a complete drop, see if we can get the bed to move at all. It's just weird now. This makes no sense. I may have to take this back to the drawing board and do it in another video. Yeah, it's still jamming up. For whatever reason. It's not the weight of the containers. They're jamming up on their own. Huh. I wonder if I can get away with pistons. Maybe I'll change these, because these sliders I think are the problem. Not so much these up and down ones, but these in and out ones are a big pain in the ass. I'm wondering if I can get away with maybe changing them out for pistons. Maybe change the beds out for, or the sliders out for pistons. I don't even know if I'd keep the sliders at that point. Maybe put rollers. But that's just, that is ridiculous. That it will not. That is just ridiculous. Alright. So, we're going to, I'm going to take her back to the workbench. I'm going to work on a redesign. Something to get rid of these sliders. Because I feel these sliders are the issue. I don't yet know what I'm going to replace them with. But I feel the sliders are the problem. So, sliders out, and then whatever else, whatever other design in. I might go with pistons. Maybe I'll lay some tracks and put some pistons to do the moving, so they extend in and out. I'll have to figure out exactly how to go about that. But yeah, definitely got to get rid of the stupid these stupid tracks. They are no good. All right, so that'll be next video, I guess. So I'm gonna work on it right now, and then come back. Oh, maybe I'll make a video on doing it. Maybe I'll make a video on doing it. But that's not going to be in this video because this video is already 4 hours long. So I have to end it here. So take care, everybody. This is Jody and signing off. I will see you next time. So long and see you then.